am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. BusinessDay is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, BusinessDay is your guide.
As Nigeria stands at a critical turning point, we move beyond the conversation of mere survival. This year, BusinessDay presents the 2026 edition of the CEO Forum, themed From Stability to Shared Prosperity. Join the nation's most influential CEOs, policymakers, and business leaders with keynote insights from Taiwo Oyedele, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, and the Central Bank Governor, Olayemi Kadoso, alongside a powerful lineup of voices shaping Nigeria's economic future. Happening on the 16th of July 2026 here in Lagos. For more information, call Uchenna on 0809 645 3535 or Shegun on 0812 024 3167 or Daniel on 0802 756 4653. This is not just a conference. It's where conversations become decisions that shape the future of business. As Nigeria stands at a critical turning point, we move beyond the conversation of mere survival. This year, BusinessDay presents the 2026 edition of the CEO Forum, themed From Stability to Shared Prosperity. Join the nation's most influential CEOs, policymakers, and business leaders with keynote insights from Taiwo Oyedele, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, and the Central Bank Governor, Olayemi Kadoso, alongside a powerful lineup of voices shaping Nigeria's economic future. Happening on the 16th of July 2026 here in Lagos. For more information, call Uchenna on 0809 645 3535 or Shegun on 0812 024 3167 or Daniel on 0802 756 4653. This is not just a conference. It's where conversations become decisions that shape the future of business. As Nigeria stands at a critical turning point, we move beyond the conversation of mere survival. This year, Business Day presents the 2026 edition of the CEO Forum, themed from stability to shared prosperity. Join the nation's most influential CEOs, policymakers, and business leaders with keynote insights from Taiwo Oyedele, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, and the Central Bank Governor, Olayemi Kadoso, alongside a powerful lineup of voices shaping Nigeria's economic future. Happening on the 16th of July 2026 here in Lagos. For more information, call Uchenna on 0809 645 3535 or Shegun on 0812 024 3167 or Daniel on 0802 756 4653. This is not just a conference. It's where conversations become decisions that shape the future of business.
Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalent cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why Business Day Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts. Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on Business Day Television. Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalent cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why Business Day Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts. Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on Business Day Television.
As fuel prices continue to rise, more Nigerians are beginning to consider electric vehicles as a cheaper alternative to traditional petrol-powered cars. To understand what electric vehicle ownership really looks like, Business Day visited the Kore EV charging station, located inside the Federal Palace Hotel grounds in Victoria Island, Lagos. As electric vehicle adoption gathers pace, Lagos now has over 20 public EV charging stations, making it easier for motorists to own and charge electric vehicles across the state. We spoke with the station attendant and 2 EV drivers.
My name is Adedeji Adedayoluwasei. I work for Kore Mobility and I'm a charge station manager there.
Who shared practical insights on charging times, running costs, and what prospective owners should know before making the switch.
Okay, this is a fast charge. So we have the slow charge, we have the fast charge. The fast charge is DC, the slow charge is AC. So for a fast charge, it depends on the type of cars. I've charged a Cybertruck that charged up to like 3 hours. 100%. And we can charge like a Javan car within 2 hours or 1 hour 30 minutes is done charging. So it depends on the type of, a BYD can charge for like 2 hours 30 minutes or 2 hours. So it depends on the type of cars. But for fast charge, it's much more faster. And slow charge can take like maybe 5 hours to 6 hours to charge fully. And a lot of cars come here to charge, apart from the cars we own, which is the Cab Zero. So we have a lot of private cars coming to charge. So it's a very busy location. In a day, we do about maybe 12 private cars, apart from, because we have a lot of Cab Zero coming to charge. So overall per se, we do like maybe 35 to 40 cars to charge, and including the private cars also.
Charging of this vehicle is not taking much time, maybe 1 hour, 35 minutes for the full charging. The price is fair. This model is 2025 model, BYD, build your dream, actually. We have no issue, no changing of oil, no changing of oil filter, nothing. So it's just a rotors and battery that construct everything. Maybe only the tires, the brake oil, that's the only thing that we can make change of.
To charge the electric vehicle is 500 naira per kilowatt. This is Caspian though. For this Caspian, it takes like maybe 35 kilowatts or 40 kilowatts to get full. That's 20,000. If it's for business, once they charge like this full, so they can come back the next day to come and charge. Personal, you can use this for like maybe 1 week to 3 days. Full electric is much more preferable. Fuel is very, very expensive now. Charging is not even as expensive as fueling your car. But for this one, you can charge for like maybe 10,000, 15,000, 20,000, and it can last you for a whole week. For personal use, it can last for a whole week. I'm not even talking about business. So this one, when it comes to the maintenance and the whole package of the car, is much more preferable than petrol car. In Korea, we sell electric vehicles. So what comes with buying vehicles from Korea is we also offer maintenance. So we're also responsible to maintain your cars for you. So the maintenance is like maybe the battery. They'll check the battery of the car. It's a very, very strong battery. So the longevity is very, very strong. It's much more preferable compared to fuel.
Electric vehicle is cost effective, very easy to maintain. You don't need to buy fuel. Hybrid is more costly than electric vehicle. Go for electric because it doesn't give problem. I've been driving an electric vehicle about a year now, and there has been any complaint since. The only thing is that you gauge tire, change tire twice. That was only the maintenance done so far. Electric vehicle moves faster, very, very fast. There are modes of driving. We have standard, we have sports, and we have eco. You can choose. If you are traveling, as if you are traveling from Lagos to Ibadan, now you can choose. You can be on sports. Then that means you are flying.
While electric vehicles may require a higher initial investment, many drivers believe the lower operating costs make them a worthwhile option in today's economy. Akemi Obong reporting for Business Day. For more insights on electric vehicles, visit premium.businessday.ng. Would you choose an electric vehicle, a hybrid, or a petrol-powered car? Let us know in the comments.
What we've been doing, since I was appointed, I probably sent out initial Nigerian music industry roadmap to about 100 stakeholders who are players in the industry, from bankers and investors, label owners, rights owners, major artists, publishers, platforms, radio and TV companies. And we got like a 90% revert. Everybody was pretty much aligned that these are the things we need to do. So when we're trying to architect those things we need to do, what we now said is, okay, look, foundationally, we need to have a Nigerian Music Business Council, which sort of takes possession of the music industry and owns certain key things. So we want to have a National Center of Excellence for Music, which is a tertiary level institution that can graduate up to 1,000 plus every year in undergraduate, master's, PhD, and diplomas, and postgraduate diplomas, because we need to canonize the music. We need to understand that our music is over 1,000 years old, and that value and that heritage and culture is extremely important. If you don't do the academic work, if you don't storify, if you don't canonize it, it will never be given the same level as European classical music. And you must do that to get to that level. When you get to that level, that's how you can monetize at the same level.
Ownership and fair is two different things. It's like when we come together to create a business, there's masters and there's publishing. What we own most times is a small chunk of masters. We normally don't own publishing. So the artists already have 100. So if you own 90, the artist still owns 110 over you. So sometimes I feel like we have to communicate better because it's misleading and might create problems. But I think the future is partnership, where we come together and partner together. The whole era of who owns, who doesn't own is moving. with the terms, but ownership is what the feature says. When you think about the framework of partnership, you understand what are my strengths, what are my weaknesses. If the artist controls his creative, because that's why you have them, why do you want to dampen the creativity? Your job is to advise and bring your own best to the table, while let the artists do what they do, which are their creatives. You let them thrive. And the goal for us is we're creating an ecosystem where we let artists create freely.
K-pop industry, I guess, right, the playlist is quiet, right, just right, it's a slot, but, when people, consume with education, I mean, like, who just like learned Afrobeat or learn K-pop, and then they just like knows their knowledge is, they just gain their knowledge, and then it gets more deeper, and that can be the depths with our K-pop, because the higher education is so upper class in South Korea. Maybe like 70% of like people just go to university and then just learn everything. So that's why like we can just like I teach also K-pop too. So like I can just like give them, and then they just like have some infrastructure, and then from that like they just like consume with the K-pop by learning, and that would be just like I can give you guys just like the point of view.
As the artist, the only thing you should look out for is a lawyer that will critically review the agreement on your behalf. And as an entertainment lawyer, or rather as an artist, the questions you should ask your lawyer is duration. How long are you tied to that agreement? What happens after the termination or expiration of the agreement? What are the post-termination or expiration terms of the agreement? For a performing artist, for instance, do you have a reversion right? Does your rights come back to you after a certain period of time? What's on the table for you? What are you making out of the agreement? Also, what are your obligations? Just so that you're double sure. There are things that you can actually meet, and then that's it basically. Just once you have all of that and a few others, you're good.
I think I want to first commend the effort that has been put up until this moment, because we've seen it that Afrobeat is actually booming. So the gap, I would say, still remains in revenue collection, because we are making a lot of money, but there's still gaps in how we collect the revenue. It is no news that there's still the debates as to what a CMO is relevant, what is happening. I think if we're able to, at the very least, even sort out what that looks like, things will be way better. Thank you.
The industry is actually ripe for investment. But one of the things that we need to do, that we've agreed as a group really to do, is that we need to bring structure into the industry. Investments will not be, it won't be individualized. Okay, we're looking at investing in the industry as an ecosystem. So build ecosystems and structures where we're able to scale dramatically the potential that we have as Afrobeat. Afrobeat is no longer about visibility. The visibility of Afrobeat has drawn global attention. It's now about how we can monetize that value and make sure that one of the numbers that we saw on the screen, which was the comparison with the Korean music pop industry, right? You see that for us, we've grown by 15%. But in terms of revenue, the Korean was at several billions, worth millions, right? That's something that we need to change, and that's what investment will do. But investment will only flow after we have monetized value.
We've come to understand that a lot of things are ongoing behind the scenes on a federal level that would help transform the industry.
Initial Nigerian music industry roadmap to about 100 stakeholders who are players in the industry, from bankers and investors, label owners, rights owners, major artists, publishers, platforms, radio and TV companies. And we got like a 90% revert everybody was pretty much aligned that these are the things we need to do. So when we're trying to architect those things we need to do, what we now said is, okay, look, foundationally, we need to have a Nigerian Music Business Council, which sort of takes possession of the music industry and owns certain key things. So
hello and welcome to the Business Day Television Business Morning Live News. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Let's see what's making the headlines this morning. Federal government says demand for Nigerian oil exceeds supply. Nigeria returns to Africa's top 5 FDI destinations. IMF report renews scrutiny of coastal highway funding. Nigeria Infrastructure Debt Fund declares 4.40 naira quarterly distribution. Now let's begin the news as the federal government says demand for Nigeria's crude oil from the United States, Europe and the Middle East now exceeds the country's available supply, reflecting renewed interest in Nigerian crude in the international market. Government officials attributed the strong demand to the quality of Nigeria's crude grades and shifting global energy trade patterns. They, however, noted that the production challenges, including crude oil theft, pipeline vandalism, and underinvestment, have limited the country's ability to fully meet growing demand. The government said efforts are ongoing to increase crude oil production through improved security, higher investment in the sector, and expanded output with the aim of boosting export earnings and strengthening the country's foreign exchange position. Now moving on, Nigeria has returned to the list of Africa's top 5 destinations for foreign direct investment after inflows more than doubled to $4 billion, signaling renewed investor confidence in the country's economy. The increase was driven by stronger investments in the energy, financial services, telecommunications, and manufacturing sectors, supported by ongoing economic reforms and improved investor sentiment. The latest ranking marks a significant improvement from previous years when Nigeria recorded weaker investment inflows amid economic uncertainty. Analysts say sustaining the momentum will depend on continued policy reforms, improved infrastructure, exchange rate stability, and a more predictable business environment. In other news, fresh concerns have emerged over the financing of Nigeria's coastal highway project following comments by the International Monetary Fund suggesting that some government expenditures were not fully reflected in the country's fiscal accounts. The IMF's observations have renewed scrutiny of the Lagos-Calabar Coastal Highway, with critics questioning the transparency of the project funding and whether all related expenditures were adequately captured in official budget documents. The federal government has, however, dismissed claims of off-budget spending, insisting that all expenditures on the project and other public programs were made under existing legal and budgetary frameworks approved by the National Assembly. Officials maintain that there is no shadow budget and that all government spending remains subject to oversight and audit. Now to end the news, the Nigeria Infrastructure Debt Fund has announced a quarterly distribution of 4.40 naira per unit to its unit holders, reflecting continued returns from investment in the country's infrastructure asset. The distribution underscores the fund's steady income performance supported by investment in infrastructure projects across sectors such as power, transportation, and utilities. It also highlights the fund's role in mobilizing long-term capital for critical infrastructure development while delivering value to investors. Fund managers said the payout demonstrates the resilience of the portfolio despite prevailing economic challenges, adding that the fund remains committed to supporting infrastructure financing and providing sustainable returns to investors. Well, that does it this morning on the Business Day Morning News Live. I am Elizabeth Musa. Up next is newspaper review.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day Television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Doreen is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International Media Association. All right, guys. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about Business Day. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice. Defend it. Build it. Invest in it. Because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to news organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring. They're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question and you'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Doreen is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International Media Association. All right, guys. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about Business Day. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice: defend it, build it, invest in it, because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to news organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring, they're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question and you'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
Welcome back. You're still watching the Business Morning Live. My name is Elizabeth Musa, and now we're ready to see what we have on the newspaper this morning. As always, we start at home. We start with the Business Day newspaper. On the front page of the Business Day newspaper this morning, quite an interesting spread this morning. But I'll start off with the first one as we celebrate Business Day at 25, which has been 25 years of shaping impactful decisions. And thank you all to our lovely viewers for sticking around with Business Day for the past 25 years. But on the front page of the Business Day paper this morning, a story in the information and technology sector says Nigeria's $5 billion US health deal leaves private sector in the dark. That's on the front page of the Business Day newspaper this morning. And still on the front page, it says oil producers say 270 levies threaten investment revival. That's on the front page of Business Day this morning. And on page 31, it said inside Nigeria's move of unleashing repentant ex-Boko Haram fighters to crush insurgency. That's on the front page of the Business Day newspaper. And still it says credit-shy banks hold historic liquidity buffer as funds flow to government debt. And the writer says liquidity ratio more than double CBN benchmark. Excess liquidity outpaces lending to businesses. That's on the front page of the Business Day newspaper this morning. Still on the front page of Business Day newspaper, it says Wema Billions, 3 shareholders and 63% of 50 billion naira dividend payout. And that's on the front page of the Business Day newspaper this morning. Quite an interesting spread from the health deal to bank liquidity to 3 shareholders earning 63% of 50 billion naira dividend payouts, with the Wema from Wema Bank PLC's record-breaking dividend distribution for the 2025 financial year. Congratulations to those shareholders who obviously have benefited or cashing out right now, like we like to say in local parlance. But let's move on now and see what we have on other papers this morning. Perhaps we'll go to the Vanguard or the Punch newspaper this morning and see what we have on the front page this morning. I'm sure it's quite an interesting spread as always. We always have a lot. Now we see on the front page of the Business Day Punch paper this morning also says newspaper of the year. Cool. It says fake agency scandal. The big story says Tinubu orders 30-day ICPC probe. Senate rejects blame. That's on page 5 of the Punch newspaper this morning. On page 2 of the Punch paper this morning, and it goes on to say anti-graft agency to probe alleged forgery, impersonation, bank account. And police release Adeyemi's father. Continue search for embattled Director General. And another one here says Senate insists 1.3 billion naira budget line not inserted by lawmakers, declines intervention without petition. And still on the front page of the Punch papers, on page 29, it says Dangote breaks ground on 17 billion naira Kenya refinery. And that's on the front page of the Punch paper this morning. And on xenophobia, it says Senate pushes sanctions against South Africa and others probe. And then on page 24 of the paper, it says El Rufai abuse medical visit, doctor arrested. This is from the ICPC. Now on the bottom side of the Punch paper this morning, it says NBA insists on officers' election amid AGF rule. That's on the front page of the Punch papers. And Ogun records Ogun records 161 deaths from 415 road crashes. That's on the front page of the Punch Report. A lot of things on the front page of the Punch Report this morning. Now, in the security world, says EFCC hands over 1,452 recovered items to Unity schools. And on page 7, it says 36.2 million Nigerians at risk of acute food insecurity. And this is according to report. And State Police, Tinubu names Bajamiala AGF to implementation committee. This is on page 28 of the paper this morning. But I think we have our in-house analyst joining us virtually this morning. If you could just have Mohammed Akonji online. Mohammed Akonji is joining us virtually this morning on the Business Morning Live and our newspaper review segment. Mohammed, thank you so much for joining us despite the connection issues that you're facing this morning. Good morning.
Good morning, Elizabeth. Morning. It's been a very rainy period here.
Well, it's great for you to be joining us this morning. But can we talk about what we have on the Punch paper this morning? Perhaps you want to chime into this fake agency scandal. Sustainable orders 30-day ICPC probe and Senate rejects blame. Is there anything? What are your thoughts on this story?
Oh, yes. I think it still boils down to perhaps for the first time, we heard the president asking ICPC to investigate this national scandal. And I think it's actually a very good way. Because,
I'm not sure we can hear Mohammed.
The last time when we spoke. Can you hear me?
Not really. Oh, carry on. Just carry on. Carry on.
And affecting some. I know it's affecting the party.
Carry on. Just carry on.
Give me a minute to see if I can switch. Okay. So sorry about that. So it's been raining and it's been affecting the connectivity. So as I said, we for the first time the president came out yesterday to drop the bombshell, which is the fact that ICPC should investigate. It was given 30 days to investigate this scandal that have actually worked the presidency since last week, Wednesday. So that have rocked the ICPC, and I think it has to actually be a top-down approach, just as we have mentioned. You know, Badabiamila himself, Mr. Dini Matthew, the Senate, as well as the paraphernalia of government that's actually involved in this scandal that have actually rocked the nation. And I think it is quite very important that at least we all see through this. It appears that more Nigerians have actually been able to jump on it. People are talking about it. There have been discussions around it, and maybe we'll need to be able to wait. And given the fact that the case is also still in court, right? At the same time, I think this would go a very long way to provide a kind of restore confidence, as we have mentioned, in the system, because this has actually hit the Tinubu government very heavily. And trying to be able to get to the root and the bottom of this will go a long way in sanitizing and perhaps applying deodorant to the organization. So I think it's actually a good step to go. And then we'll need to be able to wait for the outcome of that, together with the court judgment. The court proceedings that would actually be restarted by 27th of this month.
Thanks for that. Let's talk about the story on page 2, speaking about xenophobia and Senate pushing sanctions against South Africa and ordering probes. Do you want to speak to that story, or do you want to speak to this?
Yes. I think
other
this
stories?
Is what Nigerians have actually been calling for. We've been asking for a probe. For a bilateral discussion between us and the government of the Republic of South Africa, especially when it comes to reparation, when it also comes with regards to, settling some of those knotty issues that will actually be able to have with them, especially for Nigerians who have abandoned their businesses over there, for people, legal migrants who have actually been forced out because of this xenophobic trend. And one of the videos, I think I saw that over the weekend, before now, was, that story about a South African junior minister saying that Nigerians, because of what we are demanding for, we need to be able to show them, the drug den that the so-called, some of the Nigerians anyway, who actually have them. But I think that is actually, by the way, but statement like that, could actually be able to put a kind of a spanner into the relationship that we have with South Africa. But at the same time, I think it is also very, very pivotal, very imperative for us to know that people are there who are legal migrants. They have their documents. They have the legal grounds for them to be in South Africa, and that needed to actually be settled, needed to be compensated, especially for what has happened. So I think it is good that the Senate yesterday, and in fact, I think I heard Senator Victor Ume reading out very, very vehemently, going down the memory lane of what Nigeria has done to South Africa, what we have done for them. How we have actually been able to stood with this nation during the apartheid regime, and why this is actually not a very good way to be able to repay Nigerians. It is quite unfortunate anyway. And the fact that we're also seeing the government, being complicit. I have never seen the complicity of the government until that junior minister spoke over the weekend. And if you look at some of those unguarded and inflammatory remarks that she made, to the Nigerian government about the fact that they needed to be shown where the drug dens are. And then who says that it's all the Nigerians, that the people that have been forced out are those who actually be able to peddle drugs. So some of this, indicates the complicity of the South African government in the whole match and match thing that we've seen. And I think it is good that the Senate have actually been able to bring this about, and then see how this can actually be done. At least it's go a very, very long way to see. Maybe we have some of the other businesses here, the other business interests that are also here in Nigeria. And I think it will actually be good for us to be able to see how this can actually be done.
Right. Let's see what we have on the front page of the Vanguard paper this morning on insecurity. There's a big story on insecurity on the Vanguard paper this morning. It says insecurity halt rehabs, try Boko Haram members. Senate tells federal government. Insecurity halt rehabs, try Boko Haram members. Senate tells federal government. And the writer goes on to say, mourns General Abubakar, others demands tech-driven security overall. I think it's about time we talk about tech-driven security, but move on with the writer. It says, Army detains 2 surrendering terrorist commanders in Borno State. And on the top side of the Vanguard papers this morning, it says Tinubu orders ICPC to investigate PFIPC. That's on page 8 of the Vanguard papers. And on page 11 it says Oyo school kidnap, security forces trade abductors network and associate. That's on page 11 of the Vanguard papers. And it goes on to say Nigeria's LNG exports hits 20.06 trillion naira as global trade reaches record high. That's on page 20 of the papers. And moving on now, it says over 18 million Nigerians exposed to flooding. This is from NISA. This is a warning. It says 2,000 hectares of farmland, 8,795 educational facilities, 3,808 healthcare facilities will be submerged. Look, this is actually really jarring to read. And it goes on to say, talk about xenophobia. It says Senate threatens diplomatic action against South Africa and others fresh probe, which we've already spoken about on the Punch papers. On the side of the Vanguard paper this morning, it says protesters ask Senate to suspend ambassadorial nominees confirmation. That's because of sexual harassment. And on page 9, it says MPO hails Tinubu's big tech probe over content exploitation. And finally, on the front page of the Vanguard, it says UTM FLNG signs gas sales agreement with NNPC Seplat for 15 years. But let's talk about insecurity really. This top story, this front story on Vanguard, insecurity has become a front burner topic right now in Nigeria. Unfortunately, we should be talking about things that are more positive, but it's unfortunate that insecurity has now become a part of our economy. So let's talk about this one, what Senate is telling the federal government. Mohammed.
Yes, thank you very much. I think, remember, the Nigerian military has the Operation Safe Haven, also referred to as the DRR program, the de-radicalization, the rehabilitation and reintegration program. And just as you mentioned how jarring it has actually been, there have been concerns here and there that some of these rehabilitated terrorists that were eventually integrated back into the society are also constituting further menace. And it has generated a whole lot of discussion as to how should the government handle these so-called repentant terrorists, as we be able to call them. So, but I think it is important that we need to be able to take a very deep stock and a very deep reflection as to the current state of what is actually happening about them. So I think it is a good thing based on what the National Nigerian Senate have actually seen about what some of them has done, especially against the backdrop of the assassination of General Abubakar Rabe, to whom the mastermind of the kidnap, Mohammed Kachala, mentioned something about the fact that the information about the arrest of this commander was actually fed to them from somebody from within. So there is internal complicity, and that in itself, demand the need for government to actually be able to come in and see why this needed to be done. At the same time, I think next thing is about flood. I mean, it's been a very, very, very good thing, just like you said. I think I witnessed it firsthand yesterday. Most of the, in fact, where I am at the moment is a bit submerged around the Ibejuleki axis. And I know how, in fact, the main road itself, the Lekki Expressway, the coastal road, we see the level of water submerging, and it could at least be due to a whole number of factors that we need to be able to see. And Vanguard, bringing this to our notice today, it's very important for us to realize that this is also as important as anything that we need to be able to understand.
Real quick,
I think it is difficult to mention that.
Mama, real quick, let's just talk quickly about, I like that you spoke about flood, but we have to go, but let's briefly speak on just the sheer impact of this flooding right now. On the Guardian paper this morning, the big story there says, talks about the Lagos-Calabar highway. It says anxiety as planned expansion may affect 2,700 buildings, 10,800 homes. Nigeria's population growth may worsen sanitation crisis, and this is a warning from AFDB. And then it goes on to say, talk about some other stories. But real quick, how do you feel about this Lagos Coastal Highway, Lagos Calabar Highway expansion, and this proposed how much it might affect people? Talking about 2,700 buildings, 10,800 homes. What do you say about this situation?
I mean, it is. So I had the Minister of Works yesterday, David Umahi, having a stakeholder, press briefing, and he mentioned this. And his position too was about the need for expansion and about the low terrain control of Lagos State being responsible for the flooding that we've actually experienced since last week. Last week Tuesday was when we had that very heavy downpour. Another one that actually happened yesterday. And there have been debates. I'm sure you're also part of those who bought into that narrative, into that sentiment that the coastal road was actually a causative factor. Now, their claims, from both sides of the divide, has it really been or has it not? The minister coming yesterday to be able to attribute the pervasive flood that we have actually been able to witness in Lagos since last week to refuse dumping, to the low terrain structure. I mean, very close to the waterways that we actually are in Lagos. So, but further expansion was actually mentioned there, and these were actually fears, that analysts and then people who are actually public policy experts, I feel like just as when the coastal road construction started, the number of buildings, properties that may likely be affected by the proposed expansion that the minister mentioned yesterday, that has not actually been reviewed from the EIA, the environmental impact assessment for that expansion, as the minister mentioned. But it is good that this is actually mentioned. So for average Nigerians, for ordinary Nigerians who will actually suffer from the possible expansion on the highway, it's a very imperative that we need to see the EIA from the government and how this will actually be done without impeding or without affecting the environmental works around.
Well, thank you so much, Mohammed, for joining us. We'll wrap up with our cartoon of the day as always. The cartoon of the day this morning shows something like looks like the Aso Rock Villa, which happens to be where the presidency stays, and then we see smoke coming out, and then there are two people, who obviously stay in Abuja, which is where the Aso Rock Villa is, and one of them says smoke. Iyala Akara must be frying akara with firewood. This is just a little jab at the whole akara thing that the First Lady of Nigeria has talked about, saying that people can go into selling akara and all of that. And then the second person said, my friend, smoke doesn't smell this bad. This must be stench from corruption. That's just a pictorial representation of how, the citizens of Nigeria feel about the things going on, from the seat of power. But we'll leave it here today on the newspaper review segment here on the Business Morning Live. Up next is Business Morning with Deborah Eze. Do stay with us.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that BusinessDay Television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalent cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why BusinessDay Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts. Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on BusinessDay Television. Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalent cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why BusinessDay Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts.
Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on Business Day Television. Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalent cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why Business Day Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts. Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on Business Day Television. On Business Day Television.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of Business Day. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with Business Day.
Business Day is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, Business Day has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At Business Day, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision-makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, Business Day fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. Business Day is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, Business Day is your guide.
And you're welcome back to the Business Morning Live Show right here on Business Day Television. And you're just in time for our conversations this morning. I am Deborah Eze. And our first conversation, we're going to be centering on artificial intelligence, data protection, and the future of business in Nigeria. I'm sure you can all agree with me that artificial intelligence is rapidly reshaping the way businesses operate, it's driving innovation, improving efficiency, and also creating new opportunities across industry. But to help us unpack these issues, we are being joined by AI experts, published author, and enterprise transformation leader, Tosin Shobokola. Good morning, Tosin. It's good to have you on our Business Morning Live show.
Good morning. How are you today? Nice to be here. Happy to be here.
Very well. Let's now go straight into it. Like I said, artificial intelligence is transforming industries at an unprecedented pace. Now, where does Nigeria stand today in AI adoption, and are businesses moving fast enough to remain competitive?
Well, Nigeria has always been known to be one of the fastest adopters of technology. And I must say, while we lack a couple of things in terms of infrastructure, we are one of the fastest adopters of AI globally, especially because of our level of enlightenment, because of our level of friendliness to technology, as it were. So today you see a lot of people making business decisions and doing a lot of research they say, and they do a lot of research with technology using AI. Today we see a lot of people handling their social media platforms and making sales with things like AI. We've begun to see people selling AI products. We've seen a lot of automation in place. I know a couple of people who run their entire business on AI-driven platforms and solutions. So while we may not necessarily be a first world country today, I can say that the run so far in Nigeria contextually has been rather impressive, and it can only get better.
All right. As organizations increasingly use AI tools, and I'm talking about ChatGPT and all the generative AI platforms, what do you think are the highest risks to data privacy, to intellectual property, and also cybersecurity that these businesses leaders should be paying attention to?
That's a lot, and you need to come for a 4-hour lecture to unpack that. In a nutshell, there are a lot of risks. There are a lot of risks because, first of all, we don't have a local LLM in Nigeria. When I say local LLM, a large language model like ChatGPT, most of the LLMs that we use are either Chinese or American. So the first risk, of course, is that we don't have anything that we own. So something goes wrong tomorrow, probably Nigeria is at odds with any of those big governments and everything. We could see a shutdown from the systems, like just in a way where Twitter was shut down from Nigeria. So Nigeria could shut access to those platforms. Or some people could just say, we will not allow Nigerians to make use of this technology, and that's it, number one. Number two, cybersecurity, data privacy risks would be that people will start trying to work smarter, and then they put entire documents or data that belongs to the organization or personal information into ChatGPT. So today you now have an intelligent guy and you don't want to discuss private issues with people. So for example, if I have something going wrong with me every morning and you're my good friend, I don't need to consult you anymore. I have a more intelligent personnel thing or platform to talk to. Now consider that for business strategy. I'm losing money in my business. I need to do stuff, and I put my business details right in there. That risk is that tomorrow AI is going to become the new search tool. So now you want to do a Google search, you probably just go and ask ChatGPT instead of going to Google. And you can already see similar symptoms of that when you go to do your Google search. It gives you an AI kind of response. So when people keep pumping things inside there, they're now going to see that very soon you start seeing information that you should not typically see, because a lot of people have fed the system with that. The last one for cybersecurity is that the attack tools will become smarter, like we saw in one of the tools released by Anthropic recently, where we had a 25 27-year-old bug that people never discovered. And within days of releasing that version of Claude AI, Mythos they called it, they immediately were able to discover that bug. So what does that mean? The intelligence in the LLM is going to find out things faster. But the good news is it also helps us defend things better, because we are also able to now discover and protect our systems faster and better. That's it in a nutshell.
All right. So, from reading your profile, you've spent years helping organizations build secure AI system, if I'm correct. So what are the biggest mistake these companies make when implementing AI, and how can they improve without compromising sensitive data?
So I'll start with your last question. How can they improve without compromising sensitive data? So one of the things to know is you typically would want to ensure that you are not putting all your data into just an LLM. If you do not mind, one of the solutions that we sell at my organization is called Mangrove, whereby we help organizations build solutions that allow you to still leverage all those beautiful ChatGPT and Claude and Gemini, but your data doesn't go to the internet. Now, that said, they need to be careful about what they put on those systems. It's just the same way we tell people today that if you don't want any information about yourself to be on social media, don't put it on social media. Don't tell us about your children. Don't tell us about what happened between you and your partner. Don't tell us about personal things in life. So the same thing is you need to be careful. So today, if I want to use a ChatGPT to do something, I remove all the customer info, I remove all the business info, and then I rename anybody that I need to rename, and then I drop it inside there. So that's a good way to do it. The first question you asked was to say what are the ways in which I missed that. Can you help me, please?
All right, so we know that Nigeria has enacted the Nigeria Data Protection Commission and strengthened its data protection framework. Do you think businesses are taking compliance seriously, or do you think data protection is still treated as a low-tickling exercise?
Data protection is taken very seriously. I've worked with a lot of organizations, and the way I see them working to make sure that they are compliant is very impressive, I must say, because data protection, when you breach those compliance requirements, there are fines. So the same way, whenever you break the law, you pay for it either by going to being incarcerated or by paying a huge fine. The same way you also pay fines when you breach data protection laws. So Nigerians are not just ticking the law, the box, as it were, when it comes to Nigerian data protection. Nigerians are doing a whole lot to be very, very private, to make sure the data is protected. I see a whole level of responsibility when it comes to doing a lot with data protection. The risk, however, is that many people want to protect data. They see data that they are protecting as having access to their server, having access to their data center, having access to their network. But they make mistakes by taking business everyday information and throwing it into LLMs to get things done. So we need to now find a way to strike a balance. So somebody tells you, oh, if you're going to work with us on this platform, or if you're going to deliver this consulting or advisory solution or build this platform for us, you need to sit in our office to do it. And you need to work with us. But that person needs to get something done on an Excel sheet that contains email addresses of employees and financial data of his employees, and he does not want to think twice. He picks that whole data and throws it into ChatGPT. While he has fulfilled all the requirements for Nigerian data protection law, he has just linked data to an LLM, and that's very, very dangerous. So we need to make sure that while we are fulfilling the law by checking the box and getting the certifications, some new practices, especially related to AI, are very, very important. The other thing you asked the other time was to say, how can organizations make sure they profit from AI? Which is, they need to not just jump into AI and say we are doing AI. They need to take a lot of steps. That means they need to even know what AI is for them. If we are a bank, what does AI mean for us? If we are a software company, what does AI mean for us? If we're into manufacturing or logistics, what does AI need for us? And then they need to take it step by step to know the areas where AI will profit them most. Now, profit may not necessarily be revenue. Profit might be time spent. For example, I'm working on a solution that helps finance people to do stuff better. Now, if you did something in 8 days or 4 days or 3 weeks, and the AI tool allows you to get it done in 2 hours or less, now that is profit. And of course, we know we'll be able to relate that time saved into money. Now they need to find a way to do what we call a profit finder's assessment to know what allows them to make profit using AI. And then based on that, they can now map out a plan to start seeing how they are going to implement AI in their organization and begin to bring in the value. The hard fact is if they do not do it, the employees will do it anyway. So rather than being afraid and pushing it down the road to say, we'll do it in the future, we'll do it next year, we'll do it because we don't have time, they should do it now. Even if they're not going to implement, they should have stuff in place to make sure that their data is protected and they have a journey so that things can be properly done.
All right, let's speak to the small and the medium enterprises. You know, they believe that AI and robust cybersecurity are only for large corporations. What practical and affordable steps can this SMEs take to be able to adopt AI safety and also protect their digital assets?
So there's a lot and it's a mix. And one thing I'd like to say is that as much as AI is the new fancy item on the shelf, it's not just everything. We still will not forget our previous practices. So I'll take this in about 3 levels. For now, AI helps people to save a lot of money. You can build your website without having to pay somebody to build a website for you. Today, website development can go for as cheap as 100,000 naira, 50,000 naira, and it can go as expensive as 10 million naira, as the case may be, depending on what you're putting on the website, or if it's a portal that has an app inside and things like that. Now, with AI, you can eliminate that development cost or reduce it by more than 50%, if not more, because there are tools that help you do stuff quickly. That's one of the things that people can do. I mentioned use the word research the other time. You can find out a lot of information about whatever things you are doing or how to improve your services or how other organizations are doing it all over the world. Or if you're about to go into a new business area, you can actually do your feasibility studies, which used to be a very, very costly exercise in the past, which means you can ask questions, you can get insights about who is doing this and how they've done it. You can even get a financial model to give you an estimate of how many customers I would get by doing this in the future, how much will I make and when am I going to make my first million of this business or my first billion of this business. All that you can do by paying maybe say $20, and you can get all that result in less than a day, rather than paying some premium money and waiting for 3 weeks, and it might actually still not fit what you want. So a lot of businesses are going to get started because people can research easily. A lot of people are going to become millionaires because they can use AI to get stuff started, and without depending on a lot of people, they can use AI to do stuff smarter. You can use it. Small businesses today can do their whole social media plan using AI tools and a combination of other tools. A lot of organizations today will be able to do many things that they had to pay 4 or 5 people for. Because of time, I will not be able to elaborate. But I personally have stopped paying a lot of people some money because I can just get it done by myself using one AI tool or the other. Now, like I said, don't just think because AI is bright, new and shiny, you now forget all your data practices. Data practices that we use for our regular data practices still apply to AI. So you don't throw just anything in there. You are cautious how you do stuff over there. And whenever you are getting information, you need to always verify whatever it is. I've seen a situation where one of the AI tools told me something and I said, verify, check, ask. It said it is possible, it's very possible. And by the time I went to do my own personal research, use another AI tool, it was like never possible, gave me references. So a lot of it is good stuff, but you always need to verify what you get. You always need to ensure that what you are getting is the best or is accurate. And then there are also ways to make sure that you are not dealing with hallucinated information, because the tool always tries to give you something, whether it knows it or not. So that's another whole kettle of fish. But I guess in a nutshell, those are ways in which people can help their businesses and grow with time.
All right, one of the growing concerns is actually that AI could replace jobs across sectors. So from your perspective, which jobs are most likely to evolve, and what skills should these professionals be developing now to remain relevant in the AI-driven economy?
So the thing is, AI will replace jobs in some cases. In some cases, people using AI will replace people not using AI. So if there's this ad that we keep seeing on YouTube, depending on what you watch on YouTube, that talks about a platform where they are selling an AI course, but what they keep saying, the hook that they are using to sell the course is to say, hey, you've been in the industry for 15 years, and what takes you 3 weeks, that young man over there does it in 2 hours. And that is exactly what we're going to see in AI right now. Now, there are some things that AI will never do. Like I just said a few moments ago, you can do your business projection and feasibility studies and analysis using AI tools. But again, you need to verify. I see the other time I did something similar, and he told me that I was going to make 10,000%, or was it 100,000% of whatever investment I had done to start out that project. But that percentage was actually meant to be $10,000 or something of the sort. Now, AI on its own is not going to do that. You still need a human to verify. And when I flagged it to the tool, it said, oh, I apologize. I put a percentage. I made a mistake. I put a percentage instead of a currency sign. That is a colossal mistake. So imagine me taking that and going to present to a customer or to an investor to say, instead of saying you make $10,000 or $100,000, you make 10,000%. You know what that can do and what that can cost and what legal implications it can bring. That said, a lot of jobs that today are low-level skilled jobs are going to start disappearing. I used to do this presentation where we have the World Economic Forum and Gartner do this analysis for us. So there are jobs that don't require too much intellectual stuff to do. A lot of those jobs are going to disappear. So if you remember, when we were growing up, our dads had secretaries, and a couple of parents had people whose job was just to type. Today, those jobs don't exist because you are your typists. You can get a virtual assistant to do stuff for you, but you don't need somebody to really manage your calendar per se, because you can automatically manage your calendar. So some low-level jobs are going to disappear. Some jobs will be changed and improved, as we are seeing in the world today. People are like Microsoft, Amazon, and all the big tech companies are firing a lot of people. But while they are firing a lot of people, they are also recruiting a lot of people. So they could fire 10,000 today and hire 6,000 today. What are they doing? They are telling you that this type of work, we don't need somebody to come and do this kind of work for us. But we still need people to do some work for us. So they tell you that this work that was just everyday manual or everyday boots on the ground, we now need somebody who can do a similar job but has these skills, has that skill. So for example, anybody can build a test website today. Before it was a hard skill. But anybody can build a test website today by just typing 3 sentences into an LLM. Now, if you needed someone who was a mock-up designer before, that job is gone. For software development, we see people who are using AI to build platforms right now. So a lot of jobs will disappear in terms of the fact that we have AI, but a lot of jobs will also be created because we also have AI. So what it needs now is somebody who is intelligent enough to understand the nuances of AI and learn how to use those tools to get better results. So if you want to do this, you need to start from the fundamentals. Learn generative AI. Learn how AI applies to your industry. If your industry is heavily text-driven and people interactive, know where to draw the line between getting information from the tools and know how to use that information to interact with people. A mistake I see people making today is they sit in front of an LLM and then they begin to challenge expertise of decades, where they say, I did research, and then the research that seems to have been done begins to now challenge an expertise who has been on the ground. So, for example, I do research on how to do banking and investment products, and then I'm talking to a tenured banker, and I'm telling him that based on my research, this is how the market works. That is a very huge risk that we're going to start seeing, and we need to be careful about that.
All right.
I think I'll stop there. Yeah.
Because we are pressed with time, Mr. Tosin, would definitely have this conversation again some other time. But thank you so much for your time on the show.
A pleasure, and happy to be here. Thank you for having me.
We're speaking to Tosin Shobukola. He's an AI expert, a published author, and enterprise transformation leader. Still to come after the break, leading business transformation in a changing economy. Do stay with us.
At Providus Bank, we're committed to your growth and success. You're never alone on the journey. Our personalized relationship banking is how we do things together. It's what sets us apart. We value every individual and partnership and treat them as such. We're committed to helping you grow and celebrating your success. This is your life story, your future, your forward. This is all about you. Let's move you forward. Providus Bank.
Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalence cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why Business Day Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts. Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on Business Day Television.
As Nigeria stands at a critical turning point, we move beyond the conversation of mere survival. This year, Business Day presents the 2026 edition of the CEO Forum, themed From Stability to Shared Prosperity. Join the nation's most influential CEOs, policymakers, and business leaders with keynote insights from Taiwo Oyedele, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, and the Central Bank Governor, Olayemi Kadoso, alongside a powerful lineup of voices shaping Nigeria's economic future. Happening on the 16th of July 2026 here in Lagos. For more information, call Uchenna on 0809-645-3535 or Shegun on 0812-024-3167 or Daniel on 0802-756-4653. This is not just a conference. It's where conversations become decisions that shape the future of business. As Nigeria stands at a
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
Now, welcome back. You're still watching Business Morning Live. Let's now move to our second conversation this morning. As businesses navigate economic uncertainty, rapid technological change, shifting consumer expectations, and evolving workplace dynamics, the ability to adapt has become a critical driver of long-term success. For many organizations, transformation is no longer a choice, but a necessity to remain competitive and resilient in an increasingly complex business environment. And joining us to discuss leading business transformation in a changing economy is Chukwudibelu David. He's a business growth strategist. Good morning, David. It's good to have you on our Business Morning Live show.
Morning, Deborah. Thank you for having me. Good morning, viewers. Good morning, listeners. Thank you very much for having me. It's nice to be here.
Let's go straight into it. The business dynamics and landscape is changing faster than we ever imagined. So what do you believe are the biggest forces driving the transformation in organizations today, particularly here in Nigeria?
Okay. Once again, thank you. So right now we are actually in the age where a lot of businesses are struggling with inflation and even boils down to daily consumers. One thing is that we can actually attest to here in Nigeria is the fact that inflation is not stable. We've come to a point where we now understand that psychologically inflation is not stable, but in reality it looks like it is becoming stable, right? But as we look further logically, we discover that what is happening is that we are actually adapting to what the stability of the inflation, right? So, for example, somebody bought a crate of egg. Let's say you are an egg dealer. You sell a crate of egg for 3,000 naira last year, and as of 2026, you are selling for 9,000 naira, right? And it moved on to probably 2 years, 2027, you are selling for 9,000, and somebody will say, the pricing, the inflation is stable, but it's not, because what we can just figure out is that the pricing is stable for a period of time, right? And we can actually say that stability is not about price drop down, but about how we can actually go back to the previous way markets price their product, right? So now, talking about transformation in this era, we are not going to exclude the power of technology. The power of technology, adapting technology to our everyday work. Before I came for this program, I was doing a research, and I discovered that 79% of businesses actually thrive more when they introduce technology to their everyday work, right? And even they bring technology to their operations, and not just their operations, to analyze their business processes. So technology actually gives them insight on how their business, participates or it is performing over time. So using this data gives them more insight to make rapid decisions, to know what to iterate, and also know what to an area where they need to make refinement and amplify. So if we are looking at anything to bring the sustainable economic stability for every business in this era, it is leveraging technology.
Yeah. So we understand that many companies say they are undergoing transformation, yet a significant number fail to achieve lasting results. In your experience as a growth strategist, what separates the successful transformation from unsuccessful change initiatives?
Thank you very much. So the first thing we have to avoid is you have to be ready to take risk. So, there's this thing that popularly known that by Christians, you cannot pour new wine into old wine skin. So a lot of Nigerian businesses are too, attached to their, legacy way of doing things, their traditional way of doing things. So let me say their familiar way of doing things. But to thrive in this current economy, you really need to, adapt. You really need to adjust, and you really need to move fast beyond the previous way of doing things. So it boils down from different area of business operation, business processes, starting from the way you look at your, your operations, the way you look at your finance management, the way you look at your, marketing approach, your sales approach. Right? So it actually boils down to you studying what has worked in the past. That's looking at patterns and looking for, trends. Then making prediction based on the history, which is the pattern and the trend, to predict the future outcome of your business. So for every business that really wants to transit from the legacy way of doing things to a new way, first off, you really need to build I call it AQ, which is adversity quotient. So you really need to be resilient in this present time. That's the very key thing.
Interesting. So digital transformation has actually become a buzzword, like everyone talking about digital transformation, but we know that technology alone doesn't guarantee success. How do you think businesses balance investment in technology with investment in people and organizational structure?
Thank you. So consulting for organization for 2 years now has actually revealed to me that technology is just a tool. Technology is just an amplifier. And before you even think of investing into technology, the first thing you have to consider is your underlying structure, like the structures you have in place. The best example for this is, let's take it outside work. Let's say, our day-to-day lifestyle. For example, you need to travel from Lagos to Ibadan, and right now you say you have your legs to walk, for example, and for you to walk from here to Ibadan might take you like let's say 3 hours, 4 hours. Right? What the vehicle does, which is like a technology, is to help you make that journey faster, and kind of like you get to Ibadan quicker. Now, for you to be able to achieve that, you need to know the road that leads you to Ibadan, right? So without the knowledge of the road, there is nothing for the car. There is no information, or let me say, there is no channel for the technology to thrive. So for every business that is going to, that is looking at investing in technology or digital tools, first off, you have to look at your traditional structure, how your operation works, how your marketing works, how people collaborate, your unified system. Unified system is about how people collaborate within your organization. So even in the real sense, people cannot collaborate, you find it difficult for the business operations to collaborate with the HRM, which is like human resource. It will be difficult when you bring technology. So technology is just an amplifier. Technology does not scale business. It scale whatever you have structured down for the business. So if you have a clear traditional structure, what technology does is to amplify that structure. So before you look at investing in technology, first of all, you have to invest in your culture, your structure. So I was in a Omniverse early this year, and a startup founder was talking about how a particular staff of his, is not greeting him, doesn't greet him whenever he comes to the office. And he was like, oh, what can he do? Then the question I was asking now, first of all, it was like that they're having backlogs that they are not productive. So because of that, it has one or two issues with them, and for that reason, the staff member does not rate him. So I'm like, oh, what's this structure? If you are bringing in technology, if you are looking at technology as the next, solution to whatever you are doing within your operation, technology will only amplify this. Technology cannot solve this problem. So you have to solve this problem within your organization before you bring in technology. Because you saying you want technology that can help everybody, collaborate, work without you interfering into your system, into your structure, is just like you saying that you want things to run on their own without first configuring them in the right sense, in the ideal sense. So you want your business to run on autopilot without doing the manual configuration to drive the automation aspect of it. So if you are looking at investing in technology, in a nutshell, you have to first of all work on your structure and your system before you bring in technology, because technology will only amplify the structures that you have in place. And if it is chaotic, technology will amplify the chaos.
Right. Nigeria's economy has faced persistent challenges, and I'm talking from inflation to foreign exchange volatility. How do you think business leaders rethink their strategies to remain resilient and competitive in the environment?
Sorry, I didn't get you. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly. Now we're moving to the Nigeria economy. We've seen that it has faced persistent challenges, and we're talking from inflation to foreign exchange volatility. So how should business leaders rethink their strategies to remain resilient and competitive in this environment?
Thank you. So for everyone that is actually running business in Nigeria now, you have to understand that the market reality of Nigeria is kind of different compared to other parts of the world. So you have to put that into consideration. You have to study your buyers. You have to know your audience. So like I used to tell people that the first rule of starting a business is to know your audience. So you don't start business because you feel like the idea is so nice to me, or it's so nice to your family member or your team members. You have to go out there to make a survey to know what the market wants, to know how the market perceives whatever product or services you are offering to the market. So now, if you're already in the business and then you are having something that I call what you thought of, or what your expectations are, and what you are getting in reality, especially in this time around in our current economic status, what you should do is you have to look at the consumer behavior. You have to chisel down to considering their or what we call financial capacity, right? So, for example, we work with international brand in my organization. We partner with international brand organization. The way they price their market or their product here in Nigeria is totally different from the way they price it in other parts of the country, right? Because they understand market buying power. So you have to consider the current Nigeria reality, and you have to put your buyers, which are your consumers, either it's product based or service based. You have to put them into consideration when you are factoring your price, your mode of operation. You also have to factor, your staff, your team members. These people also, you have to factor in, the daily cost of, running their own life in the individual level. You have to factor it in before you make decisions. So decision making does not rely on, your business objective alone, your marketing strategy, your marketing goal or marketing objective alone. It doesn't rely on, your business growth plan, the big one alone. It also has to, boil down to, the market reality, the consumer behavior. You also have to see how you can, connect with them and bring in, ideas or strategies that can still meet them at every point they are. Because at the end of the day, the business we are trying to build is not for you to add up something fancy. It is for you to solve problem. And solving problem means that you really first of all have to figure out what the problem is for the people you are trying to serve. So I would say you should put your consumer or your customers into consideration in terms of their behavior, their current reality. So you don't look at it from a global point of view. You look at it from your national point of view, the current economic reality for these people who are your end users. And doing that in a practical sense is, first of all, taking survey, making research around it, visiting the markets. I tell business owners that we work with that you don't really need to sit down at the office all the time as a business owner. You really need to interact with these people, the daily users of either your solutions, your service, or your product. You need to meet with them to get to hear from them, get their perspective, get their experience with your solutions or your services. With that, you can make a decision that can actually help sustain whatever you're doing. To add to it, a lot of business owners will be like, oh, how does this business survive when we pay so much attention to the consumers, we pay so much attention to the customers to ensure that we subdue things so they can still, have the buying power for us to still remain in business. How do we sustain the business? So one of the things you do is there's what we call nice to have, must have, and some things are not necessary. So like the other speaker said before he left, as time goes on, you also have to look for a way to cut down on some things in your business. Because as every business skill, there are some things that brought you to a particular level or to a particular stage of your business that would not necessarily take you to the next stage or next phase of your business. So while you proceed, while you continue the journey, you need to check in at time to tell, oh, this has brought us here, but now it's time for us to let go, right? Because some things might look good, but at the end, if you look at it logically, they are actually slowing down your growth.
All right, looking ahead, which industries in Nigeria do you believe are best positioned for significant growth over the next 5 years? And what opportunities should investors and also entrepreneurs be watching out for?
Okay, so we cannot argue it that if you are looking at starting the business right now, or you're looking at investing in one, technology is evergreen because technology is here to stay. And talking about technology has different branches. It has different categories. Now the core one for me is artificial intelligence, right? Artificial intelligence. Why am I saying artificial intelligence? Because artificial intelligence has actually come into to streamline our daily operations. Operation is actually like the center of every business, and operation gotten right means that your marketing is done right, means that your sales processes are done right, means your financial management systems are gotten right, or structures are gotten right. So look at technology, and technology from the hard labor up to the soft labor, they are also very essential. But if I'm going to pinpoint on one, if I'm going to chisel it down, I'll say it's time to invest in hard labor. Hard labor because in the next few decades, or the next 5 years to 10 years from now, we'll have more solutions taking place with human. And we like to fight it. We like to fight it because we feel like we are already attached and clinged to our current way of doing things. There's this familiarity we have with, or this tenderness we have to the way we do things. We are so, connected to it deeply, emotionally. But the truth is, we cannot. The world is not designed to be static, or the world is not designed to be stagnant. The world is constantly evolving, it's constantly moving, right? So there are so many reasons. In profit-wise, a lot of people are looking at, owning these algebras in the next few years. A lot of people are looking at, investing in it. A lot of people are looking at, being part of it because it's actually what will make life easy, seamless for every one of us. Now, for the economic advantage of it, it is global, right? So we are talking of a business that can actually touch every part of the world. So it means that if you are building robotics here in Nigeria, it means that it can be shipped to any part of the world. If you are building AI solution, probably in the soft side, it can be shipped, it can be used by any area of the world, in any way in the world. So it gives you more, it helps you to enlarge your coast. It helps you to spread beyond your current or your predominated geographic location. So it also helps you to extend your solution to gain what's it called, international value. You gain international value, you gain international exposure, and you also gain international relevance. And it's also sustainable because these are the things that will not just end today, but as time goes on, they will refine. That is how technology started. Technology started from the day-to-day use of tools just Microsoft then, as Vista, then it evolved. Right? I remember the days we're actually using typewriter, then it evolved. So one of the things you have to learn how to do as a business owner is how you can iterate. You always pay attention to your market, to know when to iterate, to know when to make a shift in your delivery. So technology for me is what I advise every business to go into, looking at the future projection and prospect of that industry.
Thank you so much for sharing your insights with us this morning. It has been a pleasure having you on the program.
Thank you very much. Thank you very much. And I'm wishing every business owner in Nigeria success in this trying time. It's not easy, but I'll tell every Nigerian business owner to keep building. The only thing that can actually keep us going is that eyes for innovation. Right? Innovation, you have to look beyond what is familiar, what you've been doing for 5 years. Currently, we're working with a company that is into real estate, and they say, they tell us something like, this is what our team are familiar with. They are acquainted to this. It will not be easy for them to move. But there's a space for training. You have to invest in the tools, the solutions that is required to move your business to the next trajectory of the operation.
Thank you
So
very
if you're looking at us scaling beyond your current reality, you also have to start looking at bringing in technology solutions, technology to your operations, technology to your day-to-day
sorry
business
to cut
processes.
you. We have to go now. Thank you so much for coming on the show. And of course, we'll be speaking to Chukwu Debelu David. He's a business growth strategist. And that's been our focus today on Business Morning. We examined artificial intelligence, data protection, and the future of business in Nigeria, and also leading business transformation in a changing economy. The Business Morning live show continues after this break with Elizabeth Musa. Do stay tuned.
Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalent cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why Business Day Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts. Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on Business Day Television. Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalent cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why Business Day Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts. Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on Business Day Television.
I am, of course, a great admirer of the impeccable credibility, professionalism, and business savviness of BusinessDay. If you really mean business in Nigeria, start your day with BusinessDay.
BusinessDay is West Africa's leading provider of business intelligence and information, delivering premium content across diversified media platforms, including online, mobile, and print. Since its inception in 2001 with a weekly newspaper production, BusinessDay has expanded its reach to provide exclusive content accessible through print, mobile, and online channels. At BusinessDay, our mission is clear: to be the foremost provider of business and financial content, empowering readers to make informed decisions in Nigeria and Africa. Since our establishment, we have been committed to delivering insightful, relevant, and accurate information about Nigeria's business and finance environment, while contextualizing the impact of global events. We monitor the stock market, analyze the companies driving it, and report on government policies and their economic implications. From decoding market trends to dissecting economic shifts, we offer actionable investment ideas and serve as a compass for decision makers navigating complexity. Beyond headlines, BusinessDay fosters discussions on critical economic issues through impactful conferences and events. These platforms bring industry leaders together to share narratives that drive innovation and spark meaningful dialogues. Our events galvanize connections, bridging the gap between inspiration and achievement. For businesses seeking visibility, our strong digital presence offers unparalleled opportunities, with millions of followers across social media and a dynamic website attracting visitors from within and outside Nigeria. BusinessDay is the ideal platform to boost visibility for your products and services. If you're looking for in-depth analysis and expert opinions on Nigeria and Africa's business landscape, BusinessDay is your guide.
At Providus Bank, we're committed to your growth and success. You're never alone on the journey. Our personalized relationship banking is how we do things together. It's what sets us apart. We value every individual and partnership and treat them as such. We're committed to helping you grow and celebrating your success. This is your life story, your future, your forward. This is all about you. Let's move you forward. Providus Bank.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Doreen is heading the work in Africa.
honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International News Media Association. All welcome, guys. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
I would leave you with the idea about Business Days. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice. Defend it. Build it. Invest in it. Because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to news organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring. They're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question. You'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Dorin is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas.
This is still Business Morning Live right here on Business Day Television. My name is Elizabeth Musa and this is the big story. The rain has eased, but for many Lagosians, the impact of the recent flooding is far from over. Homes were inundated, businesses were disrupted, roads became impassable, and once again the conversation has returned to a familiar question. Why does Lagos keep flooding? Is this simply a drainage issue, or are we seeing the growing effects of climate change? And beyond responding to emergencies, what is being done to make Lagos more resilient? These questions come just as Lagos State returns from London Climate Action Week 2026, where climate resilience, sustainable investment, and financing solutions were at the center of global discussions. Well, joining me this morning is Titilayo Oshodi. She's a special advisor to the Governor of Lagos State on climate change and circular economy to discuss what the recent floods tell us, what came out of London Climate Week, and what all of it means for the future of Lagos. Thank you for joining us on the show, Mrs. Oshodi.
Good morning. Thank you for having me.
It's really great to have you here this morning. But let me start with the recent flooding. Many Lagosians are still dealing with the aftermath. What's your message to those people who have been affected by this flood?
Good morning once again. I want to start by just understanding that my thoughts are with the residents and with the families that have been affected by the recent flooding. There's so many videos and incidences that we have noticed, and that has definitely come to the attention and has been placed on the front burner of the government, especially with the ministries that are involved. We understand the disruption has cost homes, it has cost businesses and livelihoods, and they remind us, that climate change is no longer a future concern. It's a present reality. And because Lagos City is a coastal city, it's particularly vulnerable to these extreme weather events, which is why we need to build resilience. Lagos State remains one of those states that is on the federal government highest priority, especially because of the positioning, as a commercial hub. So our focus is on protecting lives, whilst we're investing in the infrastructure and the systems that will make Lagos more resilient for the future.
Right, but we see that every time that we experience floods like this, people are asking the same question, the question about if Lagos is actually making progress on climate action. Why do we continue to see this happening?
Well, that's a fair question. Climate action does not eliminate extreme weather overnight. It's a continuous and almost gruesome process. Around the world, we're seeing heavier rainfall, we're seeing rising sea levels and even more frequent climate-related events. In London, we experience extreme heat, that has even recorded a number of health impacts and even loss of lives. So what climate action, does is to help us reduce these risks, help us improve our preparedness, and guide us in strengthening resilience over time. Lagos has continued to invest in drainage infrastructure. We will continue to do that. We're investing in flood management. Even more investment right now in early warning systems and long-term adaptation measures that can help us in recognizing this journey and also preparing a readiness for us, not only as a single intervention, but a continuous climate resilient journey. So our hands are on board, where our boats are strapped, and in every way that we need to be able to deepen the sort of infrastructure and investment that is needed, the Lagos State government is really working on that now.
Right. And we also see that some people will blame climate change. Well, some people will say it's simply poor drainage and blocked waterways. Which is the bigger issue we're facing here?
It's both, as a form, it's a reality. Climate change is increasing the intensity of rainfall, but there's also the rapid growth on urbanization. We're seeing that our drainages are being blocked, and that can also speak to indiscriminate waste disposal, which is worsening the impact of it. So our approach has become more comprehensive. We're investing in resilient infrastructure. We're strengthening environmental management and enforcement. But we're also encouraging residents to play their part in protecting our environment and building that sort of structure that we need and focus on it as a shared responsibility across board.
Right. And so are you saying that these things will actually help us to better protect residents during the rainy season? Because I think that's what many residents want to know now, if some of these things that Lagos State government is doing, if it's going to provide better protection, to residents, in terms of reducing flood. So some of these things you mentioned, do they in any way protect the residents during this season?
Well, yes, on the government part, we have to be on ground to ensure that these drainage channels are being cleared. Like I said again, consistent monitoring of the areas that are flood prone, and coordinating the sort of response from an emergency perspective. But at the same time, as a government, it is our onus to drive public awareness, deepen campaigns so that we can encourage responsible waste disposal, and we can ensure that residents heed to weather advisories. So if we're pushing on the enforcement on one side to be able to ensure that there is deterrent in those areas, we're also looking at areas where the good and the responsible citizens are also being rewarded, and they are motivating others to also get on that train for responsible climate-friendly behavior. Our immediate response is important, and we're equally focused on these long-term basis, this long-term focus, which is why investments are also another angle that we're looking at, so that we can reduce flood risk and we can strengthen the resilience that we desire and that we need across the state.
Right. Let's talk about Lagos, the London Climate Action Week, which you just recently represented Lagos at. What were some of the biggest takeaways, and why should the average Lagosian care about some of the takeaways?
Climate change has become a front burner, and that has essentially become the biggest takeaway. Even the fact that we also had to see that shift in London and the experience that we all felt, it then became the real onus of in the room. Our global conversations are shifting, and they're shifting from climate ambition to implementation. For us in Lagos, this is important because climate action is not just about protecting the environment anymore. It's about attracting investment. It's about creating jobs. It's about improving our infrastructure and building a stronger economy. So from the various activities that we held, we had a roundtable where we were able to project and share some of the investment and the initiatives, climate resilience initiatives that we have designed that are skewed to the uniqueness of our climate. And we shared that across the board on the Climate Action Group, having invited partnerships across the globe, we're under the subnational region. We returned with, stronger partnerships as a result of that. We had speaking engagements, we had deal rooms, we were able to get greater investor interest. And, we have renewed our momentum to advance projects that will directly improve the livelihoods and the security of Lagosians.
And Mrs. Oshodi, we also saw that Lagos State unveiled its state-determined contributions framework during this event. In simple terms, what does that actually mean, and what difference will it make for Lagosians?
All right, so for people who understand what nationally determined contributions is, it's a global framework that is used as a tool to not only guide but also evaluate performances within that space. So we have distilled our own goals from the national determined contribution to the state determined contribution. So it's a framework in simple terms that is essentially used to design Lagos State roadmap to turning climate ambition into practical action. It identifies our priority climate projects, it develops them into investment-ready opportunities, and it creates the governance and the transparency investors that we need to finance them with confidence. And ultimately, this means that our climate resilient infrastructure, cleaner energy, stronger communities, greater investment are all portfolios that we're looking at within that framework to help us improve the people's livelihoods. So it's a target, and it's a framework, and it's already guiding the operations of what we want to do on a subnational level.
Right. I like that you talked about climate resilient infrastructure, and we understand that takes significant investment. So how is Lagos State attracting the financing that is needed to deliver this climate project?
Thank you very much for that question. It's one of the things that we have become very, very excited and optimistic about. Because we see that one of the biggest challenges is not necessarily the availability of capital. It's that we need to ensure that projects are investment ready. If we already have financial institutions and we have people within that risk management space who are also beginning to talk climate finance, what sort of projects will be optimizable, will be utilizable, for us to be able to drive climate action, the sort of, projects that would touch on lives from an environmental stewardship perspective, but also improving economic trajectory and giving the sort of values that is needed for good, accountable governance. So our SDD framework, where the SDC is a state-determined contribution, I'm just going to, cut it short into SDC. So our SDC framework and our climate finance preparedness initiatives, which is what we have capped into a clinic called the Climate Finance Preparedness Clinic for financial institutions and all of the affiliates within that industry, is what we're using as a vehicle right now to strengthen governance, to improve transparency and develop credible projects that will meet international investment standards. It's one thing for us to have a project, it's another to ensure that that project hits the high climate integrity indices, and that also makes it investable on a global space. And at the same time, we're using that in a way to build partnerships with development financial institutions, our private sector, and also our local financial institutions, because climate resilience requires collaboration across board, across local government areas, across community heads, across financial institutions, across banks, across microfinance banks, so there are roles that these entities and stakeholders bring to fore, in ensuring that our climate projects are of high integrity, we're able to effectively measure carbon emission, and we're also able to report them against the global framework for bankability and for investability.
And let's talk about the Under 2 coalition, which Lagos also joined, and what are the opportunities that this creates for the state?
So number one, that also provides us with visibility. The Under 2 coalition is a platform where over 180 subnationals are signed towards the vision of net zero. And, in that sort of network, we're able to not only project what we have, but we're also able to interact and exchange, values and exchange bilaterals and, information that can help us to grow our economic trajectory. So under that coalition, Lagos is connected to one of the world's largest network, and this gives us the access to the best, global practices. It gives us access to technical expertise. We're able to deepen stronger relationships and unlock opportunities, new opportunities that can help us in collaborating with cities that have, largely the same challenges like us in Lagos. It connects us to investors because what it means is that ecosystem becomes replicable. We have the entities and the stakeholders within that ecosystem, development partners, investors, people who have shared commitments, like what Lagos and, ultimately that Nigeria desire. So joining that coalition has really put us on the forefront, and conversations have heightened, in ensuring that we're building the level of climate resilience that we need from Lagos State.
Right. Thank you for shedding more light on the Under 2 coalition. I'm sure that's something that many people want to have more insight about. But let's also talk about the proposed 80 million Clean Cook Stoves program, which has generated international interest. Why is this initiative important for both Lagos and Nigeria?
Also, the 80 million Clean Cook Stove was one of the projects that we shared, and we've been doing that, for the past 2 years right now. One, because it is beyond, it is more than a clean energy program. It's got great potentials. When we were talking about, when I was explaining having a climate resolution, having a climate resilient solution, and ensuring that we have a project that is bankable and investable. The 80 million Clean Cook Stove actually hits on all of those nodes. It has the potential to improve public health by reducing indoor air pollution. You will agree with me that Lagos, Nigeria, is on the highest index in rain in deforestation. We export firewood and generate a lot of revenue It's a 300 billion industry as we speak right now. So what it says is that our forests are, degrading. They are they've been hugely scaled down. It's able to lower household energy costs because that program in itself, under the Clean Development Mechanism, has credits that have been, forward sold. And that also gives the opportunity for us to generate incentives for the usage of those clean cook stoves. It also has the opportunity to create green jobs, because in the maintenance of that clean cook stove, in the circular economy aspect, where we're able to start looking into the conversion of agricultural wastes, which Lagos is also very high on, and construction waste, we're able to build skills in the conversion of waste into briquettes that are used for fueling this clean cook stove, so that it reduces the level of deforestation that we're experiencing. But it also mitigates the potential disruption of industry for those who are in the business of firewood. So we can begin to upskill them into learning how to be able to drive ESG factors and contributions with investors and the private sectors that look into that program in itself. So we call it our bride, because it is strong on every factor. It's strong on health, it's strong on economic opportunity, it's strong on circular economy, it's strong, on afforestation, nature resource-based projects.
Right. And looking ahead, what should Lagosians expect to see as the state advances its climate agenda and prepares for COP31?
Well, Lagosians should expect to see continued investment. We want to continue, we want to deepen our level of investment. We have our climate finance preparedness clinic coming up, within a week. All the financial institutions are gearing up for it. The governor is going to be there rewarding, because he's hosting the recognition award night, where sustainable practices, sustainable priorities that have been embedded in operations of private sector will be celebrated, and he's essentially looking forward to that. We want to be able to use also these opportunities and our landscape to deepen stronger partnerships and ensure that we have greater focus on implementation. Climate change has gone beyond just understanding it right now. We want to start to implement. We want to begin to pilot. We want to get practical solutions that can help people to see how they can adapt to this change that is uncontrollable, and how they can begin to even use that as a source to generate some form of income or revenue for themselves. So our priorities have gone beyond conversations. We've gone into the global stage. We're bringing practical outcomes into the space, and whether it's for cleaner energy or for resilient infrastructure, or to get improved climate finance and projects, jobs have to be created. Quality of life has to be improved. So ultimately, the vision is simple. We want to build a Lagos that is greener, that is more resilient, and that is more prosperous for a prepared future in Lagos State, and by extension in Nigeria.
Right, thank you very much, Mrs. Titilayo Oshodi, Special Advisor to the Governor of Lagos State on climate change and circular economy. Thank you so much for spending your time with us on Business Morning today.
Thank you for having me.
Well, this has been Business Morning Live here at Business Day Television. Up next is Social Listening. Do stay with us.
At Providus Bank, we're committed to your growth and success. You're never alone on the journey. Our personalized relationship banking is how we do things together. It's what sets us apart. We value every individual and partnership and treat them as such. We're committed to helping you grow and celebrating your success. This is your life story, your future, your forward. This is all about you. Let's move you forward. Providus Bank.
Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalent cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why Business Day Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts. Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on Business Day Television.
As Nigeria stands at a critical turning point, we move beyond the conversation of mere survival. This year, Business Day presents the 2026 edition of the CEO Forum, themed From Stability to Shared Prosperity. Join the nation's most influential CEOs, policymakers, and business leaders with keynote insights from Taiwo Oyedele, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, and the Central Bank Governor, Olayemi Kadoso, alongside a powerful lineup of voices shaping Nigeria's economic future. Happening on the 16th of July 2026 here in Lagos. For more information, call Uchenna on 0809-645-3535 or Shegun on 0812-024-3167 or Daniel on 0802-756-4653. This is not just a conference. It's where conversations become decisions that shape the future of business.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Moses.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day Television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
Pleasure of welcoming great supporters and friends from INMA. He's the president, and then of course L. Wilkinson, and then Dorin is heading the work in Africa.
Honored that you're hosting us today. We look forward to a positive exchange of ideas and strategies to make our industry better. With me is Al Wilkinson. He's President and Executive Director of International News Media Association. All right, guys. And we're happy to have him here. I'll let him tell you guys more about him and why he's here.
idea about Business Days. No platform can take it. No AI can replicate it. No competitor can buy it. So here's a little advice. Defend it. Build it. Invest in it. Because folks, the decade ahead is going to belong to huge organizations that are unmistakably themselves. They're not boring. They're not neutral. Who are you? Answer that question. You'll figure out the next one. Thanks a lot.
If it's sparking conversations, then we're bringing it to your seats. Welcome to the social listening segment, where we bring to you stories, debates, and moments generating conversation across social media. I am Elizabeth Musa, and now let's get into what is making waves online. For our first conversation today, the Ghanaian government has declined a planned state visit by South African President Cyril Ramaphosa, citing concerns over the killing of a Ghanaian national and reported xenophobic attacks targeting Ghanaians in South Africa. Now, the decision follows the death of 40-year-old Bashir Isaac, who Ghanaian authorities say was killed during demonstrations linked to renewed attacks against foreign nationals in South Africa on June 30, 2026. Now, government sources said the decision was taken amid growing concerns over the safety of Ghanaians living in South Africa and the need for urgent measures to address reported incidents of violence against foreign nationals. Well, let's see some of the reactions on social media regards this conversation and xenophobic attacks. Ghana declines Cyril Ramaphosa's visit and all of that. Now, that's a comment from Emeka HM. Emeka obviously is in Nigeria, and he says, I love this, but guess what? Tinubu would gladly welcome something like this for validation. I hope Ramaphosa extends the same gesture to him, and watch Bala Blue never cease to disappoint. That's a reaction from Emeka. Mr. Harry says, what is it going there to do? It should stay back and fix its country. When they were killing other Africans in your country, you couldn't say anything. Now you want to travel and tell them what? Ramaphosa really get mine though. And then he has a surprise face. Now Jaden says, Nigeria won't. They will rather give him a presidential welcome with all of our top government officials shining their teeth in the name of diplomacy. That's one from Jaden. I'll see if I have more reactions to this conversation. Great man of Port Harcourt says, good for him. Let him remain in his country until he can openly rebuke his citizens to stop those attacks. But it's really sad to see the situation or how things have gotten so bad. I ask myself a question: how did we get here? We talk about African unity every time. This is not the African unity that we talk about. Africa is we've come a long way, from being under the apron strings of our colonial masters to finally getting some sort of independence, so to speak, even though we still know that to a large extent, in some ways, there's a sort of colonialism still happening, but maybe not. It's not looking like the forceful type we had back in the day, but that's why the more reason why now as Africans, every single one of us as African, we should see each other as brothers and sisters, whether Ghanaian, whether Nigerian, whether South African, whether Kenyan. But unfortunately, South Africa, which happens to even understand what racism, what all of these things mean, especially because they had it even till now with all of things going on there. They've seen the worst of it. So as much as possible, they should even be the ones speaking for unity. But it's unfortunate to see the situation of things in South Africa and how it has gotten to this level. You speak to some of them because I happen to speak to a lot of them. Many will tell you that they are not for it. But when you see how widespread this xenophobia is in South Africa, it makes you really sad, because when you think about the first the first sentence in the national anthem for South Africa, it really talks about African unity. It says, in Kosinileni Africa. It really talks about African unity, but we are here now, and this is what we're seeing, and we don't want to get to the point where the South African president wants to visit Kenya, and it's not accepted in. He wants to visit Rwanda, and it's not accepted in. He wants to visit Tanzania. That's not the African unity we're talking about. But this is where we're headed. We hope it doesn't get there. Let's see some of the other stories that we are also seen on social media today. In the second conversation today, the Abia State Police Command has arrested a 35-year-old woman, Nwoko Gift, for allegedly attempting to kill her 12-year-old niece, Ebo Chimamanda, with a kitchen knife. Now, the arrest followed a viral video which is circulating on social media showing a woman attempting to harm a young girl with a knife. The shaky eye-angle video showed Gift kneeling over the girl who was lying face down on a concrete floor while repeatedly striking and restraining her with a kitchen knife in her hand. The girl was heard repeatedly and crying, shouting "Auntie no" as she struggled beneath the woman before a man in a light-colored shirt intervened and pulled the woman away. We'll see how people are reacting, but even before we see how people are reacting, I wonder how people choose to treat or mishandle minors. I wonder how people think that domestic violence is okay. I wonder why people think that they can't just solve situations in a very tidy manner, in a very civil manner. How you will look at your family member, and the next thing you're attempting to do is to kill her for what, really? I don't know, whatever reason or whatever thing that the young girl could have done, but a 12-year-old, it doesn't even make sense. Even if it was a 30-year-old, it doesn't still make sense. But how do you even feel, what kind of heart do you have that you see a 12-year-old, which is literally a minor, and you want to kill her? For what reason? I don't know. But we'll see some of the reactions online and see how Nigerians are reacting to this nauseating conversation. That's a comment from Private Citizen. It says, the child must have been a maid brought from the village with promises of an education and a better life. Exactly, those are the issues, because that's literally how most of these people come in and stay with family members that are supposed to be taking care of them. Instead of taking care of them, they maltreat them, they rape them, they sexually abuse them, they verbally abuse them. At what cost? Let's see if we have more reactions to this conversation on social media. There's a comment from Ahmed Young Sunday. He says, I don't care what the little child did exactly, but this woman should not be allowed near real human beings, because I do not think she's human. What if no one was there and she could have killed the boy or girl, and then they will come and say she was sick, or they cook up lies? Because unfortunately, when they bring these people from the village, they feel like their lives, the parents feel like their lives are dependent on this supposed city aunties or city uncles that are taking care of them, and then they will come and say, oh, she was sick, we were taking care of her, and XYZ happened. Meanwhile, you were the one that killed her. This lady should not, I don't know where she is right now, but she should not be in her house. She should, I don't even know, what did the neighbors do? I wonder if they've taken her to the police station, because this woman should be she should be charged for this attempting to murder someone. She should be charged. We should not just be having this conversation on social listening. She should be charged, and she should be imprisoned, really. That's one comment from Godwin Robinson. It says, before charging the lady with attempted murder, she should undergo a mental health evaluation. No, we don't even want to wait for mental health. She should be charged to prison, and then the mental health person should come there. It says this step is crucial before conducting criminal background checks. A mental health status should be assessed first. There's no need to send a mental patient to prison. This commenter, Ishaya Jr. says, this is heartbreaking. Hope the 12-year-old niece gets full protection and support, and that justice is served swiftly. Child abuse like this has no place anywhere. I really want to know, what did she say this child did? Not like that matters, but I really want to know why you could not put your emotions in check. What did she say that this young 12-year-old girl did? What could it be that will make you say you want to kill her, or want to even beat her to the point where she doesn't like? Why resort to violence? Why resort to abuse? I want to really know. And I think that before we talk, this mental health, yes, it's good, but I think she should be charged first, and then they bring the mental health, whatever, the physician to her, but not wait. No, because we wouldn't want her trying to harm someone else. What if nobody came to the rescue of that young lady? We would have been saying a different story right now. Another little girl gone just that way. You know, from people are put in your custody for you to take care of them, but instead you're harming them. It's unfortunate. It's really unfortunate. But we'll move on now from that conversation and go and see what we have still on social listening today. The final conversation today is still South Africa. South African tourists were reportedly confronted and expelled from restaurants and recreational spots in parts of Mozambique. Look at what I said earlier. I said, I hope we don't get to the point where like this African unity we're talking about, just because of this. South Africa is literally supposed to be the big brother. But look at. It says, locals are seen on video chanting Telelani Mzansi, meaning go back to South Africa. Now, the video circulating widely on social media captured locals surrounding South African tourists and demanding they leave various establishments. Now, some families were filmed walking out of restaurants under pressure from the crowds, while some answered back engaging in argument. We'll see how some people are reacting to this conversation on social media. But you can see the video right there now. Went from Ghana to Mozambique. I did say it earlier that we're probably going to see Tanzania, we're going to see Angola, we're going to see so many more African countries, you know, revolting, standing in sovereignty, you know, for one another. And that's not really where we want to go to. We'll talk about African unity. I think South Africans, especially these ones who are, you know, doing this Operation Dudula. Operation Dudula is it's literally to take away illegal migrants. But we're seeing it that these people have literally turned Operation Dudula to a xenophobic war, where they are literally against anyone who is not from their country. But the unfortunate part about this is, you guys are like, there's literally still disparity. Right? There's still disparity amongst, you know, the blacks, the whites in South Africa. I think that's something that there should be more focus on, as against, you know, this xenophobia, this hate for your brother and sister, thinking that they're taking your jobs. No one is taking your jobs. If you're good at it, you will definitely have the jobs. Because if the job was, if there wasn't a gap, no one will be there. So I think that's one thing. I don't know what sort of schooling needs to be done again, sort of rewiring, sort of unlearning, relearning that needs to be done, but there definitely needs to be some sort of schooling right there in South Africa. Look at what's happening in Mozambique. Let's see some of the reactions and see how people are reacting to this go back to Mzansi thing. Mzansi is supposed to be home, right? But look at where we are. Ayoko says, if this really happened, it's unfortunate. People should be treated with respect regardless of their nationality. Let's wait for the full fact before jumping to conclusions. Let's see more reactions on social media to this conversation. That's one from Jacob Daniel. Says, this is literally nothing compared to what will happen to them in the future. Their children will suffer a sin they did not commit. Exactly. Sometimes God will actually give you time to feel comfortable before he will punish you for your wrongdoing. Let's see more comment on this on social media. Naki says, man, this is really sad. South Africans are generally good people, and I'm saying this as a Nigerian who lived there for 10 years. This is a nation that gave us the likes of Mandela, Miriam Makeba, Biko, Lucky Dube, etc. We can't just turn our backs on a fellow African nation. No, I'm going to come back from Naki. Let's see more reactions to this conversation on social media. Cruzy says they should be chased out of every African country. I'm sure in Nigeria they're still living like kings and even oppressing Nigerians in Nigeria. One thing about Nigeria, we're always, you know, we're the magnanimous sibling. We're always open-armed. We're forgiving. I mean, it's really literally the way to go. But I think I have a question for South Africans that I think they should be asking themselves. What will Mandela do? What will Miriam Makeba do? What will Lucky Dube do? In wherever they are, Mandela in his grave, if he sees this xenophobia, someone that was in prison for how many years of his life, literally almost the entirety of his life, fighting against racism in South Africa, if he sees that the same people that were fighting, I spent my life in prison for, you are the same people saying that, oh, everyone must go, how will he feel? I think that's the question that South Africans, the ones that are obviously doing this entire operation Dudula and turning it into a xenophobia war, I wonder if they ever think about this. But I think it's really important for them to go back to the drawing board, because really at this point President Cyril Ramaphosa is literally out of his control right now, because these people are saying, but yeah, maybe the government needs to find a way to engage these people in more jobs. But it's one thing to engage them, it's one thing for these people to actually show up at these jobs and do it. Because if there wasn't a gap, right, all this immigrants, this migrant that you say are taking your job, they wouldn't have jobs. You guys will be the ones doing it. But there's a thin line between a sense of entitlement and actually making sense. Because if you just have a sense of entitlement, you're not just going to sit in your house and just expect that, oh yes, this job should come to me. But when you were given the job, what did you do with it? I think this is a conversation that many maybe we need to now create groups that would now say, oh, we are doing, I don't know, maybe a sensitization for South Africans. Because how do you feel? Oh, yeah. When you say everyone move, right? Look at the way all other African countries, they are literally standing as one against this xenophobia that some South Africans have started. That should tell you something. South Africa, you need to do better. At the World Cup, people were literally happy after South Africa was booted out. That says something. South Africa, we can do better. Let's talk about African unity. Let's not have a phobia for one another. We have South Africans here in Nigeria and they're living well. They're living large. No one is saying, oh, they're taking our jobs, because yeah, they could have jobs. They deserve it, right? If you work for it, you will get it. They are there. No one is saying that, oh, because they are holding this position, they took their jobs. No. So there's a thin line between a sense of entitlement and not making sense anymore. And I think this is something that many of all these people just fight. If not, you fight and pursue everyone away, and you don't show up at your job. You're lazy at it. It still goes back to the same thing. Who's going to do it? So we need to South Africans, we want to beg you that you need to start looking and seeing the big picture, right? Seeing the big picture of this whole thing, that we're all brothers and sisters. We actually are supposed to love each other, right? We love the music. Amapiano is amazing. We love all of these things, but we need to start seeing each other as brother and sister. Xenophobia is not the way forward. It's never the way to go. We need to love each other. If you're talking about undocumented migrants, granted, but moving to xenophobia and just being unable to stand your fellow brother and sister that's from another country is a no-no. But I'm going to leave it there today. This has been all on Social Listening. My name is Elizabeth Musa. Until tomorrow, stay safe.
Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalent cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why Business Day Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts. Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on Business Day Television. Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalent cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why Business Day Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts. Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on Business Day Television.
As Nigeria stands at a critical turning point, we move beyond the conversation of mere survival. This year, Business Day presents the 2026 edition of the CEO Forum, themed From Stability to Shared Prosperity. Join the nation's most influential CEOs, policymakers, and business leaders with keynote insights from Taiwo Oyedele, the Minister of Finance and Coordinating Minister of the Economy, and the Central Bank Governor, Olayemi Kadoso, alongside a powerful lineup of voices shaping Nigeria's economic future. Happening on the 16th of July 2026 here in Lagos. For more information, call Uchenna on 0809-645-3535 or Shegun on 0812-024-3167 or Daniel on 0802-756-4653. This is not just a conference. It's where conversations become decisions that shape the future of business.
For 25 years, Business Day has delivered credible journalism, intelligent analysis, and decision-shaping insights to Nigeria and Africa's business community. Introducing Africa's first AI-integrated website, enhanced with powerful new capabilities. At the heart of the new platform is the AI-enabled chatbot, built to help you navigate stories faster, ask questions, get summaries, and access deeper context instantly. Text-to-speech functionality, allowing you to listen to articles on the go.
The Murtala Muhammad International Airport, Lagos, has recorded an 11.8% growth in air traffic.
Whether you're commuting, driving, or multitasking, Business Day now moves with you. And with our new language translation feature, our journalism becomes even more accessible. You can select your preferred language, thereby expanding reach across diverse audiences in Nigeria, Africa, and beyond. This innovation reinforces our commitment to being not just a news platform, but also a smart, accessible, and future-ready business intelligence hub. As we celebrate 25 years of impact, we step confidently into the future, powered by technology, driven by credibility, and focused on you. Visit the new Business Day website today and experience the future of news.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by Business Day Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musef.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
This is Business Week, a weekly program brought to you by BusinessDay Television.
And we're live from Lagos, the nation's commercial capital, bringing you the latest insight into the stories that matter for business and the economy. I am Deborah Eze.
Onyeka Valentine.
I am Destiny Momo.
My name is Elizabeth Musa.
When you think of business, think no more, think Business Day.
I know that Business Day television will go places. It is the next big thing that will happen to the Nigerian media sector without a shade of doubt.
Good afternoon. This is Reflection Nigeria, where we, as usual, we talk about some key issues that's going on in our country, and sometimes we actually also go beyond our country, Nigeria. Without wasting much of our time, I have with me in the studio two gentlemen together that we usually do this, and let me quickly introduce them. Mr. Zebulon Agomo, the Sunday editor of the Business Day newspaper, and of course. So I also have Mr. Matthew Chuka Uroku, who is the assistant editor here at Business Day. My name is Joshua Bassi, and today there are two key issues we'll be looking at. First is the fact that rising from the allegation by Adeyemi Adeniyi, the man who that we now know as the DG of a fake government agency, who allege that before securing his DG job, that he had paid 400 million naira, and that he was to balance 200 million naira before the bubble burst. The question we'll be asking today is that why is it always possible that for you to pay bribe, as it were, to get a government job? I mean, we'll get into that. Of course, the other issue we'll also be talking about is that, the HIPMAN, Independent Marketers Association of Nigeria, Independent Petroleum Marketers Association of Nigeria, has hinted that petrol price could come down to as low as 800 naira per liter, given that they've signed a deal with Dangote, the refinery, to be able to lift fuel directly from Dangote instead of instead of buying from middlemen who buy directly from Dangote. And for us, that's something very positive, cherry news, and we're looking forward to that. In fact, if you ask me, I would say that that should even start today, and they will bring the much needed relief to Nigerians who have been buying fuel at a very exorbitant price, and with all its negative implication on other things, given the fact that Nigeria is a fuel-dependent economy. Gentlemen, you are welcome.
Thank you much.
Maybe we should start with the issue of Adeyemi, the man that we now describe as a fake, the DG of a fake agency. He alleged during a press conference that before he got the job, that he had paid 400 million naira, and that he was to pay 600 million naira total. He paid 400 million naira, and that, of course, he was to balance 200 million naira before the issue, like I said, before the bubble burst. Of course, the government has described that agency as fake, and that has described the man as fraud. And of course, we know that as we speak, the case is in court, so we may not actually go into the nitty-gritty of the case in court. But what's for me, is curious, and I want us to look at is that, and I can confirm this, that during the era of the late President Muhammadu Buhari, may so rest in peace, I had a contact with someone who said that he paid 5 million naira to be able to secure a job for his daughter with the Central Bank of Nigeria. And so my question really is that, why is this a case in Nigeria? For those who do not have people, for those who do not have connection, but they also have people who are qualified for a job, where does this leave them? If people have to pay to secure government job, and truly, it's not even because of Adeyemi now. It's just something that we see in this climate, that people pay to be able to secure, government appointment. Zeb, why is this so?
Yeah, thank you so much, Josh, for inviting me. If you look into our society, you discover that corruption has been endemic over the years. And if you're talking about bribing officials in order to secure appointment in government agencies and institutions, it did not start today. This has been happening. You ask yourself, who are the people who work with agencies that we can describe as juicy agencies, CBN, NNPC, many other places like that. So they are the children of bourgeoisie in society, children of political actors in the country, who it may not be that they bribe their way into such organization, but because of their political connections, they were able to get their children, their kith and kin into such places. We have seen people who, we've seen a recent altercation between Senator Adams Oshomole and the Senate President. So how the Senate President allegedly got job for her daughter and even the in-law into all those lucrative places. These things are widespread. Recently, there was a document that circulated online. Someone was alleging how they were paying billions of naira to get ministerial positions and other things in the current administration. So the woman became alarmed because the goalposts continued to be shifted. The promises never got realized. Meanwhile, they had paid, even in foreign currencies, some 500 million US dollars to secure some position. So you'll be wondering what is happening. So it's a corrupt society that has given vent for all this we are seeing. If you come to institutions of higher learning, you go to universities and all that, you see lecturers also doing the same, coercing female students to exchange themselves for marks and all that. Some people, recently, the outgoing JAMB registrar was sharing how some university vice chancellors are trading admission with money or for money, because he had to confront some of them, because pupils that has scored high marks that were ordinarily supposed to be on the first batch were denied admission until he intervened. So it's all over the place, and it's unfortunate that these things are happening. Yeah, if you come to the issue, I think that the federal government is not saying all the truth that he should be saying about it. Because if such a thing should be happening in government, it means that there are a lot of things going on that have not been unearthed. So let Adeyemi's case be let it be a pointer to the fact that we are sitting on even worse situations, because there are many things going on that Adeyemi's case should begin to unfold, begin to unearth, begin to tell the government that if this thing can succeed to this level, how many years now that the man have been operating and have been interfacing with the government and with other people from outside the country, with even the SGF, Secretary to the Government of the Federation, interfacing with the EFCC chairman and all that, the highly placed people in government. So if he had been carrying on without anybody discovering what had been happening, means that a lot of things may be going on that the government needs to sit up to it.
Thank you, Zeb. Chuka, what's your take on this? Like he said, beyond that, like I said earlier, beyond just Adeyemi, the president, DJ of they now describe as a fake, Presidential Foreign Investment Promotion Council. The man said the guy who was the go between him and the office of the chief of staff to the president is late now. They say the man was serious. Is now dead. But he said 400 million. Did he pay 400 million naira? And the question is, why would anybody pay as much to secure a government job?
Oh, thank you so much.
Allegedly, anyway.
Yeah,
I mean,
thank you for
allegedly.
the
This is still allegation.
Yes. But if you hear that somebody pays money to get job, it means he's buying corruption. He's perpetuating corruption. That if I can part with this much, so whatever I see on my way,
I take
in the course of the doing the job. Because for him it was an investment. 600 million, and he accepted. The man already assessed the situation and said, I think this is what I'm going for. And with the name presidential
investment promotion.
So you can imagine that maybe contracts or transactions to be involved in that kind of office will run into billions of naira. So why not just part with 600, and in 2-3 transactions you recoup what you have given. If the man is talking about 400 million naira, he may have got 10 times over since he entered into that job till now. So it is not surprising to anybody, just as my colleague has enumerated areas where this kind of thing happen, including places like have higher institutions that are supposed to be a center for excellence. If anybody is going to university, for instance, you don't go there to say, let me try my luck. It is your brilliance, it is your intellect or your intellectual capacity that qualifies you for a place in the university. But it has been so trivialized that if you bring money, of course, most admissions, except those who, there's what they call a second batch of admission. Second batch is just commercial part of admitting people to the university. After the first batch, any other, and anything after the first batch, including going to school, going for youth service, you have to part with something for you to be able to be part of that batch. So a lot of things are happening in this country that, like he said, this one is just an eye-opener to all of us, and to even the presidency. But one thing you have to note about the current government, unlike the Buhari government that was always telling you that they were fighting corruption, this government has never come to tell you that, we are fighting corruption openly. So if you hear corruption mentioned around them, I think it's just like, we never told you we are coming to fight corruption. So what are you bothered about? And then this is involving the person that is supposedly the next to the president, the chief of the chief of staff to the president. So see how the connection is so high, and that tells you that at the end of the day, this case may not even see the
light of day.
Light of day. When you talk about it, something bigger than that will happen tomorrow, and all of us will just focus on the new or worse incident, and then the whole thing will just, before you know it, it's swept under the carpet. And it goes larger than we are even talking about, because if it were in a society where, oh, you are a president and things like this are happening under your watch, it's enough to deny you of your next opportunity to come back as president. But here, the thinking is that whether it is good or bad, the president is settled. The president he will come back. Or somebody was citing instances of where such things were happening, and people were asked to leave the office. But the chief of staff is still there till tomorrow. Ordinarily, if the president wants to investigate this witty allegation, they will ask the person who is a major corporate, a major suspect, not corporate, a major suspect in this, to give you a step aside, let us look at this. If your hands are clean, you come back. If it's not, you just go from there. And many people have already gone at the even ministerial level. So for me, it is very, very disappointing that we are carrying some of these things. For you to get a job in a country, and anybody who is getting job means it is given that the person is qualified for the job. So why do you give money in order to secure that kind of job? It still speaks to the kind of society that we find ourselves. It's a corrupt, shameless society where people in high places don't mind that their names are being bandied about on television, in newspaper, everywhere, social media. But they are not worried. They carry on as if nothing is happening.
Zeb, whether this allegation is true or not, whether indeed Adeyemi actually paid money to be able to be appointed, to be appointed DG of this fake agency or not, or whether what we are even here about is whether it's true or not, whether it's the fraud as alleged by the government, or whether indeed government or officials were part of this deal as it were. So let's look at, even for a country like Nigeria, especially a situation where you have a president always getting out of the country, going to other country to see how can we investors to come to Nigeria so what do you think is the implication? Because investors, especially foreign investors, will actually look at what is going on in the country. What does this say about our ability to be able to actually get investors to come here?
I must say frankly that there is nothing surprising again in Nigeria. Anything that should go wrong has gone wrong in Nigeria. So nobody gets alarmed at anything again in the country. So, and the so-called investors we are trying to woo from our side, they know us. As it is said, they have seen us finish. So nobody deceives anybody today that somebody will be looking at Nigeria and saying what is happening there. There is nothing that is new here. So, and the government knows that Nigerians are no longer fooled. Nigerians are no longer alarmed. There is nothing that will happen today. They say, this is the worst has happened. They have seen the worst. So, if anything happens tomorrow, that maybe other parts of the world will say, can this thing happen in a place where human beings exist? They're no longer in Nigeria. Because what is happening in Nigeria, what has happened in Nigeria in the last 3 years were enough for people to empty themselves on the street. But everybody were so quiet. Nigerians had been conquered. I was speaking with a senior lawyer who told me that we are all like animals that have been locked up in cage and the keys were thrown away.
And
We cannot help ourselves.
Is it that bad?
It's bad. Nigeria,
it is bad.
Nigeria is it's a country that how we survive here now is by miracle. You wake up tomorrow, you hear that 100 people have been slaughtered in a place. Life goes on. You wake up tomorrow and you hear that 50 people have been adopted, have been kidnapped in a community. Everybody moves on and begin to celebrate the next minute.
And even school children.
School children have been in the bush somewhere in rainy season in Ogbomosho community for over how many weeks now? Life goes on. Political activities are going on. Before you know it now, campaign for 2027 election will have started. So, my brother, there is nothing the eye will see now and shed blood, as it is being said. Nigeria has seen everything finish, unfortunately. So, the idea of saying, don't go about saying negative things so that you will not scare away the investors.
Which investors?
They know more than we know in this country what is happening. So it's unfortunate that we have come to a point where it's as if that our humanity has died. It's unfortunate.
Okay, you paint a very pathetic, picture of the country. Of course, but I know that there still must be, light at the end of it. Just so, Chuka, I'll ask you, what do you think can be done to actually remedy the situation we find as bad as it is? I mean, there still must be hope. But maybe there are steps that government should take, maybe even we, the citizens, the followership should also take to maybe remedy the situation. Because like he said, if this kind of a thing has, because my thinking actually would have been that for a thing like this to happen, I mean, investor will be looking at, wow, I mean, can I actually go stake my money in that economy? But Zeb is saying, look, there's nothing investors don't know about us. And so there's nothing surprises anybody anymore, including the investors, nothing surprises. So maybe, and
Josh, I think all of us are part of this society, and we know really that things have actually gone beyond remedy, so to speak. You can engender confidence either in yourself, it is somebody who is listening to you, or somebody who is coming into the country through what you do. It's not what you say.
Okay.
And confidence in somebody or trust comes through what you do, not what you say. Because if it is about what you say, Nigerians have said more than, especially the government people, they have said more than enough. This is a government that has, before now, we used to have what they call a National Orientation Agency.
Yeah.
So we're just talking about the values that we have as a country, what we are supposed to do, what you are supposed to say.
Yeah, but we still have national orientation.
It is still there.
Yeah, I think that actually are revived now. I mean, because it was almost dead.
But it's coming at a time.
We are seeing their messages on.
They are coming at a time when I've forgotten the author that said that the falcon is no longer listening to the falconer. No matter how, if you like, go on top of this house, start beating your gong. Everybody come. Things have changed. Nobody will listen unless somebody who is idle will come and listen to you, because the confidence in this, there's what they call trust deficit, is what is actually killing the government itself. No, people don't trust them because a lot of things they have done that you cannot say, oh, why must I trust these people? Joshua, do you talk about a country where the government voted a lot of money to say we want to make our voting system something very, very credible, and voted a lot of money and actually acquired the
technology.
The technology that can actually make that thing happen. Then all of a sudden, one person went and destroyed the whole of that. He hoped that more than 200 people invested in a system, and it ended there.
And that person has been rewarded.
And that person is not locked up anywhere. Nobody condemned it at government level. Then you say, oh, that's why I started by saying that it's what you do. If on the following day, just the next day, such a person was arrested and even executed publicly, which was what the person deserved.
Prosecuted.
Nobody.
Not executed.
Even executed. You don't know the damage.
I don't see
you know the damage that it caused to the country till today, till tomorrow. Even this off-season election that we are conducting here and there, sometimes we hear skirmishes of, oh, the IRF worked here. Oh, he did the yes, actually the BVAC that he worked here. Oh, he didn't work here, and they have created a loophole for them that if it doesn't work, just resort to manual.
Yes.
Don't understand. No, why do you even try that thing that you know is not going to work?
Yeah.
And you know by our nature, they will make sure it doesn't work. So it's about our action. I will talk about foreign investment. Why not are people not investing here? Because that confidence we don't even have confidence in ourselves that even in our economy that is going to work. Why are we not investing in this economy? We have very big people who can invest massively in this place, but they're not investing. Then we are going out to call other people. But I like this government. The government knows that it knows his shortcomings. Did you hear government in the last 2 years saying that they're going to look for foreign investors?
Yeah, but the president has been traveling out, and a lot of time we hear that.
So just it's like sometimes we do this really for this.
No, but seriously, this
government that I mean, you see, you don't need to travel
to go and look for investors
to invest in your country. As I said,
let me tell you,
the foreigners know us more than
yes, because the company where we work, people hear about Business Day, people hear about other newspaper houses. So people would rather come and work here because of the kind of things they see about us. If you go out like Philip Isakba used to do, to ring the bell at Apple Junction, job. You see the number of response that you get here. Because people see what you do. Yes. See some of these things we do in this company, a lot of people are attracted and interested in them.
Yes. They are not be here.
We have never gone out one day to say, please come and help us in business. People just see what you do and say, oh, we can be part of what you are doing. We can associate with you.
All right.
So these are the kind of things companies should be doing. Not by saying it, we need action.
All right.
To convince people, to engender confidence, to bring trust. The trust deficit within the country is unrivaled.
So you don't tell people, you don't go about doing what you should be doing here.
It is what
to
you
be talking about and say you are looking for investors.
So it is about what you do.
What do inside
transparency,
you accountability. That people see that are observable. People see them and say,
"Oh, this is a place to go." Yes, subject your
and your judiciary also. How are they carrying about?
Still, that's part of what because if you bring your business, like in an area where this real estate where I operate, people, if you ask any average landlord, especially those who build houses for as business, they tell you that, oh, if a tenant refuses to pay, what do I do? How do I even recover my property from him? Okay, if the tenant resists that, so don't take me to court. Tenants will always say, take me to court because they know it will never end. So for you as an investor, if you know that the judicial system in this place doesn't encourage somebody to get justice, you can't get justice for what you know that is your right. So why do I come and put my money here? Especially in the property that I'm talking about. Somebody is supposed to pay you maybe 10 million every year for renting your commercial property. He will pay only once. Subsequent years, he say, I don't have money. And you see the person making money. He said, will take me to court. and you find that that's the only place for you to get justice. You go there, and then you can even what do they call it in the law court? How do they push your case? Adjourn your case for continuously. So you really encourage another investor who is your brother to say, "Oh, come to Nigeria. That investment opportunities there here." So that's the thing, my brother. Is about what do we do, not what you say.
But just maybe before we just wrap up on this, Zeb, we haven't even talked about what should be the role of the National Assembly in all of this. Because, see, because it is important. There's a reason why in a democracy, why we have the executive, the legislature, and the judiciary. I mean, we just touched on the judiciary, but let me also ask you, even in the case of Adeyemi, right? I mean, we're talking about a budget of 1.3 billion that was, approved for that agency, for the fake agency that went through the process through the National Assembly. So why was this not discovered? So I don't know what the current National Assembly, the 10th National Assembly. I would like to ask you, how do you see the 10th National Assembly?
Let me cut you from. You see, from day one, the National Assembly, the 10th National Assembly misunderstood having a good relationship with the executive for being a rubber stamp for the executive. They really misunderstood that. From day one, the National Assembly has not been relevant to Nigerians. That institution has been laid. Today, it's a dead institution. Nothing is coming out for Nigerians. And anybody deceiving himself that there's a National Assembly in Nigeria as it is being constituted today is making a serious joke. There is nothing like National Assembly. Because if you are talking about National Assembly should scrutinize whatever, whether it's bill or whether it's motion coming from anywhere, whether it's coming from the executive or not. There must be scrutiny. There is nothing.
I want to call checks and balances.
What we have talked about now, the approval of this budget, 1 point something for Adeyemi, fake agency. There are some people who may have colluded. They may know that this thing is also a phantom cancer. And they, because of what, of course, if they approve, you have to give them something. And that is the racket going on. So it's a racketeering chamber. So there is nothing going on at the National Assembly as far as I'm concerned. So it's a waste of time. So for many Nigerians, National Assembly is a huge joke.
It's a huge joke.
And many of the members are not always there.
Apart from not being there, some of them have traveled for what they call oversight functions and all
that. Their constituency.
As a whole, that institution as it is today,
it's not serving Nigeria.
It's not serving Nigeria.
All right, thank you, gentlemen. This we're going on a short break now. When we come back very quickly, we look at the other, topic, which is the likelihood of petrol, coming down. The price of petrol, coming down to 800, as maybe hinted by marketers. We'll see whether that will actually happen. We go on a short break. When we return, we speak on the petrol,
price drop,
possibility of price drop of petrol. This is still Reflection Nigeria. In the last couple of minutes, we've been talking about Nigeria, and of course the things that are going on, particularly regarding the Adeyemi and Matthew Adeyemi, who is DG of a fake agency, as it were, and all of the things that has gone on there. But very quickly before we wrap up, gentlemen, let us look at the statement credited to the president of IPMAN, Shetima, who is saying that Abubakar Shetima, who is saying that following the agreement they've signed with the Dangote refinery, that Nigeria might likely see, fuel price drop to about 800 naira or even less, according to him. And that, for me, is something that we should be happy about, given that for almost 3 years now, for more than almost 3 years now, we've seen since the first subsidy gone statement of Mr. President from day one, we've been buying fuel at cutthroat prices. So, Chuka, let me start with you. How do you see this statement by Abubakar Shetima, President of Hipman, and following the agreement they've signed with the Dangote refinery?
Well, let me just quickly say that it's a good development, depending on when and how it is going to be implemented. We have a tradition in this country where if prices go up, marketers will welcome it and implement it immediately. But when it goes down, they start having challenges, adjusting to the new price. So if it is implemented, that's a good luck for Nigerians, because it will affect almost all aspects of our lives, especially living condition, movements, and even operations of many companies. So it's good. It's something very good. But let us not just, like my friend will always say, let us not clap with one hand. We still have to clap with one hand at the moment, because we don't know how long that is going to last. This is a country where for anything that happens outside it, even outside our shores, we feel it more than the people who are in those places. And that's how we found ourselves almost buying fuel for almost 2,000 naira some months back. I must say that 800 naira per liter is not Christmas party, but we are hailing it and celebrating because of where we are coming from. But if we take our minds back to where we were before this government, and maybe the one before it,
before the removal of fuel subsidy,
before fuel subsidy, this 800 naira could fill the tank of a small vehicle, or you can use it to run your generator for overnight. But here we are, buy 1 liter of fuel and you go to the filling station, the attendant will also shortchange you upon that high cost of fuel. Yeah. So, in a nutshell, it's a very good development, but we pray it is implemented and implemented quickly.
Yeah, Zeb, we actually that downstream sector has been actually deregulated, somehow. So, but of course, the Minister of Petroleum Resources, Henneken, Minister of State for Petroleum Resources, Oil, Henneken, actually saying, look, the fact that the market has been deregulated doesn't mean that the marketers should engage in profiteering. I mean, somehow they should consider the fact that once the prices of crude comes down at the international market, that should also reflect in the pump prices of refined product. Well, they've been going back and forth, but this is also coming. It's like the president of Hipman is actually saying, because he said, look, before now, their problem has been being able to buy directly from Dangote, but that they've been middlemen who they buy from them, so they have to add another. At the end of the day, it is the consumers that suffer from this. Positive development, you may say, but let me hear your take on what it is that you think, whether this will actually go through, and that we will be able to benefit from this.
Yeah, the meeting was a very good one, but beyond meeting, beyond all that were said at the meeting, Nigerians are waiting to see the implementation, the reality of that, because I listened to some of the people who were at the meeting up to this morning. It may not take effect in the immediate.
Yes.
Because some people who have old stock, we still need to dispose of their old stock. And that is also the problem we normally have. Nigerians are always saying that when the prices go up, they adjust quickly. When it comes down, that is marketing strategy also, because if you have stocks that are huge, you don't just adjust downward because you are going to incur a huge loss. But if
you can quickly adjust them,
if you adjust,
because you make money.
Yeah, you make money. You make money, and also don't forget that you are no longer going to refill, get back your stock at the prices with which you bought the ones you had. So if you are going to market again, you are going to get something at the going prices that will be higher than what you got. Yeah. So those are some of the considerations that. So don't forget also that some people are importing fuel into the country now. So what Nigerians want from Dangote and the importers and the marketers actually is that to put a human face to distance, just like the minister has said. We know that everybody wants a margin that will be favorable, but they should also consider Nigerians, that Nigerians are going through a lot. Yeah. Imagine buying fuel, the pump price of fuel was 195 when Buhari left, and we were all shouting. And now we have bought fuel and we are buying fuel over 1,000. So that has impacted on every other thing that we are doing in this country. So it would be nice not even to see fuel come down to 800. If we can come back to 500, that would be a great achievement for this government. So we are waiting to see the talk being implemented and come to reality for the good of every one of us and for the good of the country.
Yeah. Thank you so very much. Yeah, for the good of every one of us, for the good of the country. We look forward to seeing the fuel price, come down to 800. If it goes even below 800, I mean, it's all good for Nigerians, and we will all smile. And then, given that in the last 3 years, I mean, look, it's been tough since fuel subsidy gone statements, So, all right, thank you so very much, gentlemen. And
thank you for having us.
As usual, I mean, it's been Reflections Nigeria, and thank you for viewing. And please go to the comment section and then type your comment there. We'd like to hear from you. Thank you. My name is Joshua Bass.
Nigeria records an estimated 269,109 prevalent cancer cases over a 5-year period, with breast cancer accounting for more than 38% of all female cancer diagnoses, and prostate cancer making up 30% of male cancer cases. Your health is your greatest asset, and that's why Business Day Television invites you to our monthly health webinar, where we bring vital health conversations closer to you. Join us Thursday, 9th July, as seasoned medical experts discuss the cancer conversation, prevention, early detection, breast and prostate health. Gain practical insights, ask your questions, and learn how early action can save lives. Because every life matters, every health conversation counts. Scan the QR code to register and be part of the conversation right here on Business Day Television. Nigeria.